606 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Good morning, everybody. Brian here with you. Jake producing. We call it Mornings with Brian Haldane. Ready and set and go for the Thursday show. Got a busy lineup coming your way. Today, Patrick Grimion, host of the Patty G Show, going to join us at 6:35. Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome at 7:15. Crimestoppers at 7:35. Congresswoman Julia Letlow at 8:15. And, Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser is going to be with us at 8:40. Within that, we've got so much ground to cover. First of all, with Patty G, we're going to dial it back to Tuesday. Had the Baton Rouge Area Chamber and Forum 225 on, talking about attracting a younger workforce. Attracting younger workers to relocate to Baton Rouge and what goes into that. There's a much bigger discussion to be had, not just from a business perspective, but from an overall city perspective about the vibe of the city and where we're actually going. Going to have that discussion with Patrick Grimion. Mayor Broome gave her State of the City address to the Rotary Club last week, going to recap a few of those highlights at 7:15. Crimestoppers is all about domestic violence. When we have Julia Letlow on, that is going to be about the Parents' Bill of Rights, government spending, and a few other quick topics. And Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser is going to be talking about the Louisiana Marathon. No, the Lieutenant Governor is not running the Louisiana Marathon. But the Louisiana Marathon, in the decade it's been around, has developed itself into a fantastic tourism outlet. People come from all over the place to go to the marathon, and they will converge on Baton Rouge this weekend. Albeit a much colder Baton Rouge this weekend, to be sure. I know we're waking up to colder temps. You just heard Marissa Nuzzo's forecast right there. Picking up where she left off, we are in the 30s to start off the morning, depending on where you are. I mean, here in downtown Baton Rouge, we're at 41 degrees. But it's going to get up into the mid-60s today, up into the 70s, possibly the 70s by tomorrow. And then Saturday, looking like a 70% chance of rain, basically all day long. Now, once that rain clears out, it's going to get cold. It looks like your rain Saturday, 6 a.m. all the way through 5 p.m.-ish. At least some level chance of rain throughout. And then as the marathoners are in town, you got whatever events are going on Saturday. There's the 5K, 10K, the Kids Fun Run is all Saturday. Well, for the marathon itself on Sunday, start time for both the marathon and the half marathon, the big events, the headliners of the whole thing, you are looking at 38 degrees with a 13-mile-per-hour wind. And as folks make their way through the marathon, we're not going to get clear of the mid-40s. Going to be nice and chilly over the weekend. Seasonably appropriate cold, but cold nonetheless. Anyway, we'll break that down a lot more probably tomorrow on the show, as you know, we'll be that much closer to the marathon. But I want to talk about not the racing conditions with the Lieutenant Governor, but the effects on tourism. Yeah, this is a weekend where, does anybody really have this weekend circled on their, Baton Rouge, must-visit Baton Rouge map? Must-visit Baton Rouge calendar, excuse me? I don't think so. And the marathon is one of a number of examples that we've learned how to grab a little bit here and there over the years. Bayou Country Superfest was another one for its short-lived run. It's a fantastic one for its short-year run, because anybody who's worked in hotels in Baton Rouge can tell you, Memorial Day weekend, it was a ghost town around here, year in and year out. That was a game changer while we had it. Garth Brooks is going to fill that gap this year, although Garth Brooks is the same weekend as the first weekend of Jazz Fest, so there would have been some New Orleans spillover anyway, but Garth will get it done. We'll also have top stories and trending this morning. You know what? A couple more days go by. Got a lot more shootings to cover. That'll be in top stories and trending. Also, the sick out that wasn't. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's start right there. I got a minute? Yeah, I got a minute. Let's start right there. We told you yesterday that the East Baton Rouge Parish chapter of the Association of Educators was threatening a sick out on Wednesday. How'd that play out? Meh. East Baton Rouge school officials say there was no significant increase in employee absences Wednesday, the day of a sick out organized by teachers union in response to surging coronavirus cases on school campuses. The East Baton Rouge Parish School System reported 760 total employee absences at schools, saying the number was a combination of COVID-related and non-COVID-related absences. The school system says it recently averaged about 762 absences per day, which can be attributed to the current flu and coronavirus surge. So I guess that didn't really work out. And it was business as usual where school was to be held. Now, that being said, a number of campuses have moved virtual over the last week. So those numbers were going to dwindle. And not just in the public schools, as I understand it, Catholic High is virtual today and tomorrow as well, due to a number of teachers testing positive. Omicron's everywhere at this point. You know, the governor's got a press conference coming up at 10:30 this morning. I believe we're carrying it right here on Talk 107.3 FM. And within that press conference, there's been no hints of major announcements or anything, so I'm not really expecting anything groundbreaking, nothing earth-shattering. But within that press conference, you know we're going to hear the same thing over and over again. It is everywhere. Assume if you've been to a public event that you got it. I was at the Rotary Club meeting yesterday. I was at LSU women's basketball last Thursday night. Just between the people that have come in and out of this building all day long, I'd be foolish to think I haven't already contracted it and been done with it. Now, that being said, I would have had it asymptomatically, except that little tickle in my throat over the weekend. But assuming that it's everywhere is a safe assumption. And having a sick out at school would just eliminate one of those possibilities, not all of those possibilities. Anyway, hey, LSU basketball was at it last night. What an impressive win for the Tigers on the road. A conference win on the road is always impressive. In Florida, even more so. Let's talk about it next on Talk 107.3 FM. Before we hit that break, though, it's never too early to start making your lunch plans. And the folks over at Wbrz, Fries, and Shakes are here to help. 2 locations. Seeking just north of Industrialplex and Blue Bonnet at Highland. Either location, you are going to get the same great service. You are going to be welcomed as you walk through the front door. You are going to be taken care of, and you are going to get the same top quality ingredients, freshly cut vegetables, freshly baked potato buns, certified Angus beef on the patties, out to you as quickly as they can turn it around. But, you know, it does take a minute because they do have to cook it themselves. I mean, they do have to cook it on the scene, on the spot. It's not pre-prepared. It's made to order. Whether that be a best case scenario, a double Diablo, whether that be an A Wonderful, a hamburger dog, which, by the way, is a hamburger and a hot dog on the same bun, or something you build yourself. They'll take care of you at either location of Wbrz, Fries, and Shakes. Make your lunch plans right now. Text a couple friends. Get a little group together. Segan, just north of Industrialplex, or Blue Bonnet at Highland for Wbrz, Fries, and Shakes.
Dreams are important. They're also easy to set aside during the time. At Hancock Whitney, we look out for your dreams when you can. So keep dreaming. We've got your back. Learn more at HancockWhitney.com or stop by a financial center. Hancock Whitney Bank. Member FDIC.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free.
You want to see who that is? We might not be on the air.
ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you.
Thank you.
It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way.
What'd they have to say?
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's
Okay. Why?
at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Was it the fast-talking guy?
Thinking about a new career but
All right.
don't know where to begin? Medical Training College offers day and night massage therapy classes where you can train for a brand new, rewarding career in about a year. Visit mtcvr.com for more information.
Uh, the 3-point in the numerical order. Yeah. No. The alley oop is before the 17-footer.
Picture this. You're trying to hire someone
Okay.
to buy something and you click on their website.
All right.
It takes forever to load and looks, well, horrible. So what do you
I
do?
thought the fudge dunk was the. Oh no, there were 2 fudge dunks. All right.
Subscribe to your website? You should call us. We're GatorWorks.
Now, your WBRZ traffic update from
The game ended with a dunk as well. No, the alley oop's fine.
And that includes the spillway bridge traveling between Ross and Kenner. So if you need to go to the airport, problem-free, leaving you with about 48 minutes from Baton Rouge to Kenner, 47, Baton Rouge to Lafayette. It's early, and there are no troubles on the Basin Bridge. Looking good coming in from Denham, 9, cheaper to the split. Let's take you outside. Check on those cams. It's quiet. It's just one of those mornings where we're starting off with a very nice drive. Hopefully that continues. We'll start to see volume pick up in about an hour.
See an accident? Report it at WBRZ Traffic on Twitter. This report is brought to you by Wbrz, where you can get up to $100 instant savings with the purchase of 4 eligible Bridgestone or Firestone tires. Visit ShawbillsTire.com to learn more.
Hey, it's Dave Ramsey. You can listen to me weekdays live from 1 to 4 p.m. on Talk 107.3.
Yeah, we're running long.
Flavor of talk in Baton Rouge.
618 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. LSU men's basketball on the road last night, bringing home a road win and doing it without Xavier Penson. There was a little bit of a question as to what Tigers would step up in his stead, and Darius Days did so in a big way. Eric Gaines did so as well. Eric Gaines was called on to do a lot last night, and he delivered, to be sure. But let's start with Darius Days. He led the way in scoring for the Tigers. He had 20 on the night. Had 9 in like the first 5 minutes of the game, including this 3-pointer.
16 and a half to go first half. Double team, bounce pass Reed. Work it left side. Days catch and shoot 3. Nothing but the bottom of the net. And LSU extends the lead 12-4, and Mike White wants a timeout.
12-4 right out the blocks. It stayed a pretty solid LSU lead throughout most of the night. Rolling into the second half, some other guys were getting involved in the action. I mean, Gaines was in the action. We'll have a highlight from him in just a minute. But it was Fudge up next? Yeah, Alex Fudge put up a couple of different highlights, including the back end of this alley-oop.
Gaines, top of the key, working against Fleming. 5 on the shot clock. Gaines way out top. 3 on the shot clock. 2 on the shot clock. Alley-oop and a slam right side from Alex Fudge right before the buzzer of the shot clock. Hey now, 50-46, 4-point LSU.
Listen
lead.
to that crowd. I mean, the students were in full force last night in Florida. Back to Days for a quick little 17-footer.
Eric now will try the right side of the floor. Not a lot of movement away from the ball here for LSU. Get it to Days. Short corner right side, 17-footer, good. Darius Days on fire tonight.
Days had 20, Gaines had 15, Brandon Murray had 10. Tigers win 64-58. They'll take on Arkansas on Saturday. Here's the Fox Business Report.
Fed Governor Lael Brainerd is addressing Congress today as she is questioned for her nomination as the Fed's number
No, we can move on. Keep it around, though, just in case. Nah, we'll move on. Yeah. No, but hang on to them. We'll use them somewhere else in the show. I keep trying to punch up apps, and my phone just gives me a little cloud at the bottom, and then it looks like it just is loading, like I never downloaded the app before. Do what? No, I just need this thing. Here it is, finally. Okay, YouTube's open. There it is. All right. By the way, good morning, Christy. Welcome in, sweetheart. Whew.
You all know Patrick Coogan, who is now with Tiger Air. What started in college football as a safety component for athletes has now helped increase their performance. Tell me about Tiger Air.
You're exactly right, Gordy. What started in extreme elements and helping athletes be cooler on the field, what we found is it increases performance. Guys out there that work in plants, that work in construction, can use that technology to increase their safety and performance as well.
For more about the hard hat version, contact Patrick Coogan of Tiger Air at patrick@airflownow.com, or you can call and text him 225-892-0032 for a demonstration and get some air.
Progressive is America's #1 motorcycle insurer, so we understand motorcycles. No, really, we have a bike translator.
Okay, so this bike says she is struggling with her place in the motorcycle community. Well, she says she hasn't peaked yet, but she
All right, let's see what's going on in the YouTube world. Eric says
itself is the peak.
we can't hear. Can you guys hear him? Yes, I can hear him. Okay.
Not allowed to have opinions. Got it.
Quote with Progressive and see if you could save with America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
Did you know that doctors
Oh,
use Mucinex?
let me go let Patrick in the building.
Mucinex is the #1 OTC brand doctors trust for themselves and their families. When you have cough and chest congestion, you need a medicine that's effective and long-lasting. So with cold and flu season upon us, why would you use anything else? Mucinex 12-hour DM extended release bilayer tablets allow for immediate and extended release, relieving cough and chest congestion for 12 hours. Grab Mucinex and put yourself back in control. Use as directed.
Now, your WBRZ traffic update from Ashley Rouge.
No issues on the Mississippi River Bridge or Drive. Fine. The map all green for you. You have somewhere to be. Looking good. And that includes the Spillway Bridge traveling between LaPlace and Kenner. So if you need to go to the airport, problem free, leaving you with about 48 minutes from Baton Rouge to Kenner, 47. Baton Rouge to Lafayette. It's early and there are no troubles on the Mason Bridge. Looking good coming in from Denham 9, shooting to the split. Let's take you outside. Checked on those cams. It's quiet. It's just one of those mornings where we're starting off with a very nice drive. Hopefully that continues. We'll start to see volume pick up in about an hour.
See an accident? Report at WBRZ traffic on Twitter.
This report is brought to you by Wbrz, where you can get up to $100 instant savings with the purchase of 4 eligible Bridgestone or Firestone tires. Visit ShawBillsTire.com to learn more.
.624 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Patrick Crimeon, host of the Patty G Show, going to be on with us 10 minutes from right now. This segment, we are going to be talking about. Well, we were set to be talking about the 22 Project. Adam Contreras set to join us to talk about the 22 Project. They help veterans suffering from PTSD. And I'm waiting on Adam, who was supposed to be here. No worries, though. Gives us the opportunity in the meanwhile to talk a little COVID, as another record was set yesterday, which is kind of weird seeing the numbers play out the way they're playing out with this particular variant, because the number of cases every single day is just ridiculous. It's overwhelming every day, right? Another single day high number of coronavirus cases reported. State Department of Health reported 17,000 new cases of COVID. We are just about to 2,000 in the hospital, 1,999. Now, the stays aren't as long. The stays aren't as severe, aren't as intense. Tulane University epidemiologist Dr. Susan Hassig says the number's alarming, but remember, it does not represent one single day of test results either.
In fact, some of these cases were redistributed back to late last week. There may have been some testing processing delays that are being captured in this big number.
17,592 was the total number yesterday. 967,533 since the beginning of this thing. 1,999 in the hospital. 111 of those COVID patients are on ventilators. That gap there, that disparity between 1,999 and 111, there's a bigger gap than there was during the Delta variant. There are fewer people on ventilators than there were during the Delta variant. Would you mind going downstairs? He just got here. Thank you. Just let him in that door. All right. Great Britain, other parts of the U.S., they're also reporting case counts beginning to slow down. They say the Omicron variant is less severe. It could signal the beginning of the end for the, well, if not for the pandemic, then for this particular variant. Dr. Hassig, a little bit more cautious, though.
I'm hoping that this is indicating that we may be starting to peak, but I think it's a little too early to call it yet.
Yes. If we've learned anything throughout this pandemic, you got to develop a 2-week trend for anything, right? And if it starts to taper off now, we're not going to see that tapering for another 2 weeks before anybody's comfortable, anybody who's in a position of authority in the medical field or with Department of Health or whatever, to make that call. By the way, of those 17,000 cases reported yesterday, LDH says 1 in 4 were among kids under 18. Dr. Hassig says youngsters might not be as severely affected by the virus, but they can still transmit it even if vaccinated.
Schools need to be masking if they're having kids in class. Even if it's not mandated, I really think it's the smartest way to keep kids in the classroom where they can learn the best.
By the way, that vaccination number, 75% are not fully vaccinated. Of the 2,000 people in the hospital, only 25% of them are fully vaccinated. All right, we got about 2.5 minutes before we got to hit news. Enough time for us to talk about the 22 Project. Adam Cottrell, welcome aboard, sir. How are you, man?
I'm good. What's up, man?
Nothing at all. Let's talk about what you guys got going on. I believe it is not this weekend, but next?
Correct.
All right.
8 days away. 8 days away. We have 2 big concerts going on in New Orleans. On Friday night, the 21st, it is at Crescent Park, which is on the river.
Mm-hmm.
And then Saturday night's at the Fillmore. We have Parish County Line closing out. We got a couple different bands coming from Nashville. It's going to be a big weekend.
Very cool stuff. Now, the 22 Project, this is – give me just a minute on what y'all do, because you address veterans with PTSD, but, you know, how? Like, what do y'all do? How did y'all take this on?
I always wanted to do something for veterans, and I emailed a few charities, and the Project 22 reached back out to me.
Mm-hmm.
The 22 Project, what they do is they take veterans that get back from overseas,
mm-hmm.
and there's a HBOT hyperbaric chamber that they put them in, and that helps slow their mind down.
Okay.
And helps them process things a little better.
Mm-hmm.
So that way when they get back to normal everyday life, it's not as tough on them.
Okay.
And it helps them get back to better everyday life.
Hyperbaric chambers are, like, phenomenal.
Absolutely.
From something like PTSD to other types of mental trauma to lung problems, you name it, you can treat a lot of it through that. They're also not the easiest thing in the world to come by, though. So it involves a lot of help, a lot of work, and a lot of donations as well. If folks want to help out with the 22 Project and the upcoming concerts, where can they go to learn more?
www.thebigeasyparty.com. It's in New Orleans, so it's the Big Easy. And it's a $50 ticket, and that includes both Friday night and Saturday night.
Oh, wow.
Also, we just put on the website today, all active military can pay $20 and go to the concert.
Okay.
And we just ask that you show your ID at the door after you buy your ticket. There's a slot for a $20 ticket. So just, if you don't have a military ID, then you'll just pay the full price at the door. But, yeah, $20 for active military, and then $50 for everyone else.
$50 a ticket, thebigeasyparty.com, thebigeasyparty.com, or support22project.com. You can learn more there as well. Parish County Line, Ashley Cook, Timmy Ray, Soldier Hard, and Thomas Kane all performing. This is a 6-hour-long event on Saturday, January 22nd. Got the Fillmore at Harris, and this is, the benefits will pay off in the long run, to be sure. Adam, I appreciate you stopping by, man. We got to hit news, but you mind if I hang on to this poster so we hit this up a little more?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Good to know. The 22 Project, they're super duper active and a wonderful cause. I highly encourage you checking them out. And you never want to miss Parish County Line, right? 6-hour show. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got to take a quick break. We're going to check our local news, traffic, weather. Patrick Grimion's coming up next on Talk 107.3. Oh, sorry, I know that was a little rushed, but it's
perfect.
yeah,
It's perfect.
I don't have all the benefits that they have down the hall where they can play another song.
Yeah.
So
That's actually Friday night's event.
this one's Friday night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
But the one ticket gets you both?
yep.
Okay.
One ticket gets you both. You get a lanyard. That way you can just keep it overnight.
Okay.
John Wbrz is from here. He's from Mississippi. He's from Pensacola, Florida, and he's from Nashville.
Okay.
And then she's from Nashville. 2 weeks after this event,
Yeah.
she's going on tour with Cole Swindell.
Really?
So she's about to hit it really big.
Okay.
You
we
know
know
about
we all
PCL.
know PCL, yeah.
Timmy Ray's from Mississippi. Soldier Hard is actually a veteran.
Okay.
That he's a rapper, but he raps about veteran life.
Oh,
About
wow.
triggers, about what it's like getting back, where every boom feels like a IED boom,
Yeah.
and like he just talked, and then Thomas Kane's from Livingston.
Okay. I've heard his name before.
Springfield area is where he's actually
Okay.
from, but he's around here.
Yeah, I know I've heard his name before. So cool stuff, man.
But yeah, this is the first event, but this is certainly not the last.
Yeah.
We plan on doing a fun run, 5K run in
Okay.
April-ish.
Okay.
I don't know it depends on COVID restrictions whether or not it can be at City Park, but City Park's the idea.
Yeah.
And then
City Park New Orleans or City Park up here?
New Orleans.
Okay.
And then a golf tournament sometime in July.
Okay.
And then hopefully the thought is the smaller events throughout the year will fund the bigger event at the end.
Right.
Because being my first event,
Yeah.
it's so hard to get
Yeah.
support.
Oh, yeah.
Because nobody knows if it's going to work. But after you do it and you show them, hey, look, this is what we did, this is the amount we raised, then you'll start getting the help.
Yeah. Success breeds success.
And we just got to get through it and get this one done.
Cool
When
deal.
this one's done, it'll be, and Casey's been big at helping me with
Oh,
Coach
Casey's
Ryan.
fantastic.
And,
All right. Well, you know where Anna and Rich are at? Okay.
they're right down the hall.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been here so many times, it's like, am I on the third floor, the second floor?
Yeah. Well, I know you're regular with
On that.
Matt. Yeah. So, but that's
The high school show on Friday nights.
Oh, I forgot about that.
But that's in the same studio as Matt.
Yes, it is.
Y'all have a good one.
You too, Adam. Thanks, man.
Demco really sends students to Washington, D.C.? Here's what I found on that.
I gotta find that tape. Where's the tape at?
2022 Demco Essay Contest, and winners will receive an all-expenses-paid trip of a lifetime to Washington, D.C.
We have a roll of tape, damn it.
Entries are due by January 21st. So, how can I get more information? For rules and info, visit demco.org. Demco, your touchstone energy cooperative.
How do you choose the right attorney? I give you the answers at murphylawfirm.com. Don't allow insurance companies to take
There you go.
Get it done.
decision. Don't leave money on the table. Visit murphylawfirm.com or call me, attorney Pete Murphy at 928-8800.
Hey, Gary, we need that tax report by tomorrow. Hey, Bobby, give me that expenses.
For Harvey's accounting firm, client growth is exponential. He needs whip-smart accountants at whiplash speed.
Hey, so why aren't these receivables matching up?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/Indeed and save $5 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Progressive is America's #1 motorcycle insurer, so we understand motorcycles. No, really, we have the blue translator.
Okay, so this bike says she is struggling with her place in the motorcycle community. Well, she says she hasn't peaked yet, but she's having a little epiphany, okay? Oh, that maybe life itself is the peak. Interesting. In my experience, so I just translated.
Cool.
Quote with Progressive and see if you can save with America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Progressive Insurance Company and affiliates.
Hey there, it's Lars Larson, host of the Lars Larson Show. Your source for London. Talk Radio, weeknights 8 to 11 on
Morning, everybody. I'm just now hopping into the YouTube. I was opening up a second ago, but was kind of a whirlwind there for a second.
This doesn't look like Patrick. Thanks, Eric.
Right?
There's no vest. It's obvious.
You said complete collision? 637. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We got to welcome in Patrick Grimion, host of the Patty G Show. Patrick, what's happening, man?
Good morning, Brian.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing very well. A little bit scattered. Like,
I know.
We're just rushing people in, rushing. I normally.
You did so
That
much
fell
hard
down.
work.
That
So much
fell
hard
down.
work.
All right, if you're listening on radio, if you're watching on YouTube, you just saw the poster that Adam left me for the concert coming up next weekend via the 22 Project. Just fell down.
That's okay.
I went looking for tape, couldn't find tape, so I tried to recycle tape that was already on there.
You're
That-
trying
that
to
was what I
be
did.
ecological, right?
Well-
I was about to tell you break off one of the little fork ends and then just stick it through the wood. The wood's soft enough.
No, it's not.
It's not?
No.
It's harder than it looks.
Yeah. So, yeah, get the bearing straight, get everything back
Business.
to focus. It's
Bears.
we're talking
Beats,
business.
Battlestar Galactica.
It's we got a couple things to talk about today. First of all, there's a conference coming up later on this year with the Baton Rouge Area Chamber and Forum 225. I had Adam Knapp and Morgan from Forum 225 on the show Tuesday talking about this conference. And the purpose of this conference is talking about how Baton Rouge is going about attracting young professionals to town, relocating here, moving here, landing jobs here, that sort of thing.
Right.
And they're going at it from a tactic of a lot of this generation wants to be civically involved as well, wants to be involved from a volunteer standpoint as well, like wants to have a hand in how they can make their community better.
All right. They want to see their face, their name, being a part of the community, doing what they can to grow it.
Right. But there's so much more to it than that.
Agreed.
And this is where I wanted the conversation to go. We can cover that from one standpoint with the conference, sure. But where I'd like to see the conversation pick up is when you're attracting a workforce to town, when you're going after that, are you segmenting your efforts too much? Because every generation, or I shouldn't say every generation, every 3-4 years, what is attractive to a workforce differs. Like it was maybe half a decade ago that if you had beer taps in the break room and sleep pods, you were the place to be.
I still think having that, you're still the place to be.
Okay, but that matters a lot more when you're first hired, fresh out of college, than it does when you are 30 having your first kid, than it does when you are in your mid-40s teaching that kid how to drive, than it does when you are moving on to being an empty nester when those kids move out and go to college. Like, attracting a workforce at a young age, great, that's awesome, but the needs and wants of that person versus the needs and wants of keeping them for the rest of their life, like, are you painting yourself in a corner?
Right. You're initially putting all your efforts into getting that person through the door. You want to get them in, you want to get them hired, but the thing that companies need to look for, and particular cities, is how do we keep those people within those companies? How do we maintain them from losing another higher offer somewhere else in a more flashy or more suburban subdivision, depending on where they're at in their state of life? Once we get that 18, 20, whatever the age is, and that young age right out of college, we get them in the business, what are we doing over the course of that person's career to ensure that their needs are met throughout the entirety? That's where I think businesses can take a deeper look at realizing that it's not all about having a flashy front door. It's about having every room be strategically set up as you move throughout the building, as you move throughout the course of your career, making sure you're not just, we have beer taps and a pool table.
Right. So, and the thing is, from a business perspective, you can shift on the fly. It's easy from a business perspective. But when you have a group of businesses together, like the Baton Rouge Area Chamber, that wants to make things happen on a civic level, on a municipality level, however you want to call it, citywide, region-wide, whatever, it's a slower moving ship, or it's a slower turning ship at that point.
There's a lot more people throwing a lot more opinions in the bowl.
Exactly. So how do you make that work together to recruit on a level like the chamber has to do, and have it show effects that are going to continue to pay out at the same pace that's expected from the business?
I think, again, you have to evaluate and attack different segments via their ages. You don't attack everyone with one approach, right? You can't just say, hey, you're 20 and you're 40, here's what we're going to give you as an opportunity. You need to realize maybe the younger generation wants a little bit more involvement individually with their peers, whereas the 40-year-olds maybe want to give back and see what they can do to help kids. You know, something that they can relate to with their kids that are growing up throughout the city.
Okay, let me ask it this way then. Similar question, not the same question, but a similar question. I am much more interested fresh out of college in the nightlife.
Yeah.
Things to do, places to go. Who's got the hot scene from when I clock out of work and, you know, can skate back into work the next morning on an hour and a half sleep.
Roll into work.
Fire back a Red Bull and I'm golden, right? I'm much more interested in that. But then once I have kids, I'm much more interested in how are the schools? What's the safety like? If you're putting you can't put all your eggs in one basket, but you have to put enough eggs in a basket to make it attractive.
Right.
So do putting eggs in one basket detract from putting eggs in another?
I think it can have that effect, but when you're looking at the new people fresh out of college, you have to take into account where they're going to live. Because where the fresh out of college students are going to live is not necessarily the same place that the older generation is going to live. Like you said, they're not looking at what's the nightlife like in this area. They're looking at, well, where's the school? How close am I to the school?
Right.
Is it going to be, am I on the bus route? Any kid fresh out of college that is not having a kid of their own is not thinking about, are they on the bus route?
Right.
That's not a thought that's coming across their head.
Right.
Their thought is, what's my neighborhood like if I'm moving into a house? What's my neighborhood like? Can it compete with my apartment lifestyle I was used to in college?
Right. Can I walk to and from where I want to get to?
Exactly.
Yeah, that very important, obviously.
And then also your younger generation is, can I come into work a little bit later if I'm hungover from the night before?
Well, but hold on, that part of it right there, and you're back to the business side rather than the overall side. But that part of it right there, flex time, has grown greatly throughout the pandemic, and it's not just for a younger generation. It's especially for parents. Like we're seeing this week, the number of schools that are shutting back down or going back virtual because of COVID. Like
the parents have to work from home.
Exactly. So the business has to shift on the fly. So it's attacking on multiple fronts. It just, to me, that feels like it's a tougher job. It's harder sledding to attack on multiple fronts, because every time you pitch something to one, it's kind of pitching the opposite to the other.
Yes, it can be. Like, for example, Electric Depot, right? They've got a variety of things to do within that place.
Depot, yes.
It's great because you can bring your kids, right? And you can go have dinner, you can go bowling, you can do activities within the area, but you can also have a bunch of college kids hanging out. Now, where you get into trouble is the dynamic of both commingling. Do you want to be bowling with your 3 kids and have the person in the next lane slamming back pitchers?
Right. Which is, I grew up with that, so that was never a big thing for me.
Yeah.
As, like, from the family end of it, like, going someplace that can be a little raucous with family has never been a big thing for me. But from the college end of it, I didn't want to be around it then. Like, I wanted to just be around other college-age people. So, yeah, what can be an attractive side to one is not so attractive on the other.
Right, which makes it even more so difficult of how do we approach this from a holistic angle where we're including everybody. We're getting everyone, such as the Brian Haldanes that have the kids, and they're getting the younger kids that are coming out of college, like our producer here. What do we do from a community standpoint? And I think it's providing enough options. Giving enough options where you don't have to all commingle in the same space. But there are some where you can, for those younger professionals that maybe aren't hitting the pitchers but wanting to hang out with their friends in a nice family environment.
All right, let's talk about working through that. But I want to I mentioned the pandemic. You had shared a story with me about boutiques making it through the pandemic. We had to talk about that as well. But we are due up for a break. Going to take that break, going to check traffic, going to check your money now. Coming right back at it here on Talk 107.3 FM. He's Patrick Grimion, host of the Patty G Show. We'll continue next.
If you've got a financial situation and you're not quite sure what to do,
Debbie says she couldn't hear anything the previous guy said.
I like Byron's response. More kids you have, the more beer taps you want at the office.
So will I still be eligible for Medicare?
Is there anything better I can do with the money I transferred into the Roth from my 401k? My goal is to retire at age 60. I'm 54 right now.
Hey, I have a 9-year-old son, and he's got probably 2,500 in. Is there anything we can invest in?
I just started a 401k a little late in life.
They're not like 10%.
Now, how far in advance do you recommend that someone goes to visit the Social Security office?
I've won some money at a casino playing poker. Gregory Riggs and Associates. Total Wealth Authority. Proudly serving you in Baton Rouge. Go to GregoryRiggs.com to schedule a visit. Investment advice.
Troy said much earlier, last night's win may end up being our best conference win of the season. Conference just got started, man. If you're saying you expect Florida to end up being much better, I agree with that. Like, they're 0-3 in conference right now. They're going to turn it around. Like, they just had a really rough start to conference play. But they're going to be great. Oh, the women are playing Missouri tonight. I feel like Kim has to wear that jacket to every game.
That's what I was about to say. It's a very,
Even though that jacket's
flashy
0-1.
jacket.
It's 0-1, but
Oh, so I'm guessing I lost the pool. That's why I sent you the dollar.
you Venmo'd me $1. Yeah, I never. Yeah, I gotta give that to Richard. It's yes. Well, I think we all lost the pool.
What was the outfit?
I don't know.
Grunge? Did we lose to grunge?
Oh, the mic was pushed off to the side. Well, if you heard, I recapped all the details, so it's here. TheBigEasyParty.com or support22project.com.
How do you not have tape lying around?
I don't know. Kevin Ford has to put his big thing up here every day or every week, so I guess I'm finally get rid of this tire. The Matt Watson tire.
See an accident? This report is brought to you by Wbrz, where you can get up to $100.
No, that's not easy. If that other tape doesn't do it, that's not sticking it.
Firestone tires. Visit Wbrz.
Go ahead. It's gonna. That is not. I'm telling you right now, that's not gonna work. Oh, look at how thorough. What about over here? There's like real tape somewhere, though. I just don't understand how it's always disappearing.
Well, he could staple it on there. Oh gosh, maybe that wasn't the best. Didn't think about that.
Done.
Thought it was a little more solid than that.
Oh yeah, shorthanded roster for sure. But I think we're going to learn over the season the roster wasn't as shorthanded as we thought. This Justice Williams looks really good. And we got Sharif O'Neal back. 652 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Talking about creating culture, a particular culture, not just within a business, but region-wide. And if you're putting all your eggs in one basket, you're really messing up, because while you might be attracting one, not even a full generation, but one graduating class, those needs, wants, and desires are going to change and evolve. Now, obviously, if you're not getting them early, you're probably not getting them. Probably better to have them here and then adapt as you move forward. But how do you make sure that, like, you're not just, quote, the hot spot?
Right.
Like, there's got to be sustainability.
There has to be, and I think that's where the community comes in for opening businesses that attract all different ages. But from a company standpoint of hiring, you do want to have that forward-facing, attractive door. But once you get in the door, that's where you want your managers and your owners to really take a personal approach with each employee. Ask them as they're going at every year interval, hey, how was this year for you?
Mm-hmm.
What's coming up in your life? What's big? Get involved with them. Show them that you care, and show them that you want them to stay around. Say, look, what is, you're about to have your first kid. Maybe you need some flex time. Maybe you need some time off. Let's talk about what's going on in your life and being more involved than just saying, hey, show up, do your job, get your stuff done, and go home.
But from a business's perspective, there are a lot of things that are super duper important when it comes to relocating, super duper important when it comes to where you choose where you want to live, that are completely out of the business's hand.
100%. But being able to offer remote work can kind of help them out with that.
No, absolutely.
If they want to if they want to work in Baton Rouge but live out in Prairieville or Gonzales, say, look, you can do remote work every once or twice a week. You don't have to come into the office. We still want to keep you with the company, but if you want to live over there for whatever reason it may be, let's talk about some remote work options.
Right. But I guess where I'm going with this is, if I'm a business owner, there's only so much I can offer from a remote work standpoint, while saying, yeah, you can work remotely from your house that's going to flood every other year, and the drive-by shooting right outside your house, and send your kids to a crappy school.
Well, now you're trying to solve the whole problem, Brian.
But isn't that where we're at?
Yeah. I
mean, these things are a big deal. Not so much when you're looking for beer taps and nap pods, but they're a big deal over the whole course. It's over the course of a lifetime.
Yeah, and that's where getting more involved in the community, I think, is going to come play out.
Which is what this forum is all about, or this conference is all about with Bracken Forum 225. It's coming up in May. All right, so we're at a weird spot in the whole pandemic, right? And the Business Report has an article that you had shared with me that I found very intriguing. How Baton Rouge boutiques have navigated the pandemic's curves. Last year, NK Boutique basically turned into a loungewear store. Across town, I'm guessing Rodeo, since it's a boutique. It's not Rodeo.
Yeah, I was about to say it's probably Rodeo. I thought NK was Ink.
It's just the letters N and K.
Right, I thought it was Ink.
Well, it's missing an I.
I know, but...
All right.
Creative here, Brian.
Rodeo boutique shelves were also stocked with more comfy leisure wear. Their experiences are part of a wave of Baton Rouge businesses forced to reconsider what they keep in stock. NK, typically known for its racks of upscale clothing from designers like Cincaset and Millie, had stocked up on event dresses going into spring of 2020, but suddenly customers weren't doing much, and when they were, they wanted styles more casual than what they usually carried. For Rodeo, which is located near LSU and tries to keep its pulse on trends, stocking what was in style meant shifting to jogging pants and sweatshirts. Okay, go ahead.
That article was initially, to me, very misleading.
Yeah.
The title.
Yeah.
Like, whenever I read the title, I was thinking, oh, they're going to talk about how they pushed more online sales. They weren't having people come through the door. They were getting creative with their boxes so people could film them unopening on TikTok and look how fancy this is.
Yeah.
That's where I thought the article was going to go from the title, which gets into a whole different conversation around clickbait.
Yes.
But reading that article, I was like pleasantly surprised at what the actual content was and how the actual shift occurred from we're pushing out all this flashy wear for people to go out and about to events and galas to, well, how can we get comfy, not only cozy, but stylish at the same time?
Right. Didn't just change their approach, they changed their inventory.
Yeah, they changed their whole inventory, and also the article goes on to show they changed the quantity that they hold within their inventory, how many of the items they're keeping.
Mm-hmm. So that part of it goes back to your original takeaway or your original expectation of the article. But I find it curious that, like, yes, they're doing that. The impressive part is they were able to get a foothold.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking comfy, I'm not thinking high end. If I'm thinking comfy, I'm not thinking boutique. If I'm thinking comfy, I'm thinking like comfy. There's been outlets for that for years. There's people that do that already.
But, maybe you're not their ideal customer as well.
I mean, obviously, I'm not. My ill-fitting gray dress shirt, just.
But
short.
I think you should try some athleisure wear if you haven't, Brian.
Do what?
Athleisure wear.
Athleisure wear?
Yeah.
Are these like the athletic pants?
Kind of like the joggers and such.
Oh, I love those. I live in those now. Not when I'm here, but anywhere else I'm at, you'd be hard pressed not to find me in the joggers.
But not like the joggers from the 90s.
No, they're tapered.
Yes.
It's like the skinny jeans of sweatpants.
Right. They're tapered. They've got pockets.
I love that.
They're so comfy.
Oh, you can't get me out. I was working LSU basketball last night wearing them. I'll be coaching basketball tonight wearing them.
And reading the article, I don't know if it was just from COVID that all this got pushed, but since I've started seeing these get pushed out there a lot more.
Mm-hmm. But you can get that at a Walmart. You can get that at until you wear Costco.
You can, but then how do you approach the clients who are still going to the high-end boutiques? How
Right.
do you adapt to your clientele that aren't shopping at Walmart,
Right.
aren't shopping at Old Navy? They want the higher-end goods, the luxury goods. You've got to figure out who is making them, and that's who you have to start stocking.
So, yes. So, but from the boutiques end, this is more along the lines of offering a seafood product during Lent.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I mean, does that translate? Offering a seafood product during Lent, or I was trying to think of something else that would be say king cakes. Matherns, you walk in Matherns right now, king cakes are right in the front.
Right.
It's not. Don't think of it from a pandemic perspective. Think of this more as seasonal.
Or is it seasonal?
Well, at this point,
is it seasonal that athleisure wear, comfy clothes like this are gonna go away in the future?
Hell, we're gonna have to pick that up later because we got 20 seconds left. Patty G show's back this week or next?
Next week we'll start recording in a new Falaya-focused studio. It's exciting.
Patty G show coming back next week.
Yes.
In the meanwhile, all of last year's episodes are still available, and he's with us every single week. Patrick Grimion, appreciate the time, brother.
Thank you, Brian.
CBS News coming your way right now on Talk 107.3.
Protect your retirement. The Presley Group time, 7 o'clock.
So the reason I say seasonal, and are you suggesting that the athleisure wear is going to pick up as a trend that's going to stay in offices?
I don't think it'll be a trend. I think it'll become the norm.
Really?
I think so.
Like not wearing a tie?
Look at fashion over the last century. How's that evolved? Men were always expected to wear full-on suits, three-piece suits with hats and everything, dressed to the nines. Go look at an average baseball game.
Oh, it was stupid.
And now look at a baseball game.
It was stupid.
I don't think it's.
But so. Yeah, if I hear one more person be like, people used to dress up to get on airplanes. Yeah, well, I used to not have to take my shoes off to get on an airplane, too. Now I have to, completely disrobe and then get dressed back up again.
So
Not
don't
really.
you want something comfy you can slip in and out of?
Right. Why should I wear a belt if I'm going to have to take the belt off and put it back on while trying to make my way through the concourse?
Look, for your strip searches, you want to be able to pop those pants off real fast.
Yes.
No more unbuttoning, zippers.
No, I know.
6 buttons on the
I
pants.
know. I'm not here to fight it.
So when will you start wearing athleisure wear in the studio?
When it's socially acceptable.
Aren't we there?
No, we're not there.
You don't think?
No, I don't. Not in an office space yet.
I think it depends.
There's
on the
a
office
very
space.
definitive difference between what I wear if I'm going to see other people versus not. Like if I'm coming up here on a weekend, forget it. I'm wearing the joggers.
Yeah.
That's a given. I'm wearing probably if not a t-shirt, then like a dry fit polo and the tapered jogging pants, which are so comfortable. Dude. Yeah.
Lulu makes a pair.
Oh, you're fancy.
Well,
I got mine at Costco, dude. My wife got mine at Costco.
Mine were
I've got like about 4 pair of them now.
Mine were gifted for the hospital stay. That's like, and then since I got them from there, I'm like, oh my gosh, these are amazing. Now I'm like working out in them when it's cold. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's life changing.
It is. They are. They are. If they could be more accepted across the board as business attire. Like, you're not walking into the Rotary Club meeting wearing those.
I think someone.
You're not walking into anything with a client wearing those.
I think you could.
And believe me, like, remember, I am completely dressed down guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm perfectly fine in polo and khakis every single day.
See, I've gone one step lower.
Right. Clearly.
Button down in jeans.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're buttoned down in jeans today, but you're not in sweats. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't at the CPA firm. We haven't swapped to sweats unless it's Saturday on tax season.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it's Saturday. Because you're not going to be interfacing with clients. Because you're going to be in your cocoon or whatever. Like, you're going to be just you and your work.
Right.
And you don't have to be formal to get your work done. In fact, the more comfortable you are, the more likely you are to get work done. Or at least that's how it works for me.
Now, I've had meetings with clients, like business owners of some serious corporations, and they'll come in joggers and a T-shirt with a hat, baseball cap.
Well, the customer's always right. Client can do whatever the hell the client wants to do.
Right. But I don't think if we would have been matched in our attire, they'd have been like, what the heck are you wearing?
One industry where it's probably going to be the last holdout is the banking industry.
Talk to Scott about that.
I was just about to say that.
Talk to Scott.
I was just about to say that. Currency bank.
He would give you a different take.
100%.
I've been there many a time since they've been open, and I've never seen him in a suit.
So there's a growing percentage of the population that just doesn't trust a person in a suit anymore. If you're in a suit, you're looking to get something by. You're looking to get something by me.
You're either looking to get something by me, or they feel like you're trying to push off as superior or elite to them.
Right.
You're trying to come in way too hot.
Right.
When they're like, I need somebody to meet me where I'm at.
Yeah.
Like, imagine going meet a guy that owns 6,000 acres of sugarcane in a suit. From Scott's standpoint.
Right.
If he's going to do an ag loan,
yeah.
You show up in a suit, he's not going to finance the next 12 tractors worth $20 million with you.
Exactly. All right, what's YouTube got to say about this? Wish we lived like Mad Men worked. Along bottles of whiskey in the desk drawer. You don't have a bottle of whiskey in your desk drawer? We have a whole cabinet here in studio. Old Navy is higher end. Who makes your mess?
Baby Gap.
It depends on what business you're in. If you could show up in joggers to meet clients. But I think that's where the conversation is going, though, right? That the number of businesses where that's acceptable continues to grow.
It's starting to become more and more acceptable.
Right.
I mean, before COVID, you wouldn't have caught me in anything but slacks and a button down at the office.
Right.
And
but now
I'm in jeans and sneakers.
Exactly. One of my favorite scenes in a television show, there was a show called Sports Night, late 90s. Aaron Sorkin's first real foray into sitcoms. It lasted 2 seasons, and it was brilliant. But one of the opening scenes, you see it's basically recreating Sports Center on ESPN. So the anchor is wearing the jacket, the tie, the dress shirt, and when the camera pans behind the desk, boxer shorts. He's not even wearing pants. And it's like that right there encapsulates everything.
Yeah.
Hey, how quickly do you have to get out of here?
Why?
The mayor's not here yet, and I don't know if the front door's open.
Okay.
Can you hang for just a second to see if I get a text, and I'll send you on your way out to let them on their way in?
Tim, I have to let the mayor in?
Yeah. If she gets here in the next 5 minutes, yeah.
That's fine.
All right, cool. Cool. 7:06, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Thanks again to Patrick Grimion for talking a little business, a little culture, a little how do you set the table for recruitment. And one of the things we were talking about within that conversation was, as a business owner, there are certain things you can do to create an environment, create a culture under your roof. But getting outside of your roof to the rest of to the rest of the business community presents a different scenario. You, within your own business, can't affect crime, can't affect schools, can't affect drainage, can't affect infrastructure and traffic getting to and from work. Well, fortunately, Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome set to join us 8 minutes from right now, to talk about exactly that. She gave her State of the City address to the Rotary Club last Wednesday. Want to hit on a couple of the high points there. Definitely want to talk about crime, as we had the chief on Tuesday, and we've seen that continue. The shootings continued yesterday, to be sure. Crime is one topic, but drainage and infrastructure and litter is becoming a growing concern as well. Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome set to join us in a little less than 10 minutes from right now. We've also got Crimestoppers coming your way this hour. Top stories and trending coming your way in 60 seconds. I do have to remind you about the folks over at Complete Collision Center. They've got two locations. One location is on Plank Road up in Zachary. The other is Perkins, just east of Bluebonnet, right here in Baton Rouge. Either location can help you out with whatever you need after you get into an accident. Either location is going to pick up the battle you're going to have with your insurance company. And yes, it will be a battle with your insurance company. Anybody who's ever been in an accident knows that that's true. Your insurance company wants to take care of themselves first, really. They want to make sure that you are back on the road quickly, but not necessarily with OEM parts, original manufacturer parts. Not necessarily with the best service possible, with the most knowledgeable technicians possible. That's what you're going to find at Complete Collision Center. Check them out online at CompleteCollision.com, CompleteCollision.com. They have the iCar Gold Class certification, which puts them, just knowledge base wise, in the top 15% of body shops nationwide. 768-9898 is the phone number, 768-9898. Don't let who you choose to repair your vehicle be your second accident. Check out CompleteCollision.com. All right, top stories and trending. Let's roll. Number 5 is 2 shootings wrapped in one here. One person was shot on I-110 near Weller Avenue in the Mohican exit yesterday. BRPD said the person suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Hey, give me 1 second. Can you go let them in? All right. Coordination right here. Getting some logistics done. One person suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Officers did not release any more information on this shooting. The person was shot around 8 p.m. While on I-110. They were actually on the interstate at the time. The other shooting, non-life-threatening shooting, a man working on his van was shot in the face during a botched robbery in a hotel parking lot Monday morning. Victim was in the parking lot of the America's Best Inn on Gwinnedale Avenue. A man identified as 34-year-old Jamal Haldane walked up to him holding a gun. There was a confrontation, a botched robbery. A bystander steps in, says, "Hey, leave him alone!" Haldane takes off. He was caught later on. The victim, the bullet grazed his face. So that victim is also non-life-threatening. District 5 now has an interim Metro Council person, Daryl Hurst, named to the post. Metro Council appointed businessman Daryl Hurst on Wednesday to fill the District 5 seat left vacant when Erica Green resigned after winning her race for Baton Rouge family court judge. Hurst will hold the seat until at least March 26th, when there will be a special election to determine who will serve the remainder of Green's term. Hurst does say he plans to run for that job on a more permanent basis. Doug Kane. His name's back in the news. Louisiana State Police's second-in-command, Lieutenant Colonel Doug Kane, is implicated in the cover-up of Ronald Green's death in new documents that were obtained by our news partners at Wbrz. Chris Nakamoto and the investigative unit put out a public records request, and, well, this is the first time Kane's name has been associated with the cover-up. The documents show Kane not only knew what was happening, but was also doing a lot behind the scenes, including leaking internal affairs information to his old boss, Kevin Reeves, after Reeves left the agency. You might remember this case of Ronald Green. This was a black man in Monroe, Louisiana, was brutally beaten and died back in May of 2019. State troopers originally told Green's family that he died in a car crash. Body camera footage said definitively otherwise. This story continues to just unravel and unfold, and WBRZ has been all over it. East Baton Rouge school officials say there was no significant increase in employee absences yesterday, the day of a, quote, sick-out organized by teachers in response to surging coronavirus cases on school campuses. East Baton Rouge Parish School System reported 760 total employee absences at schools, saying the number was a combination of COVID-related and non-COVID-related absences. The school system says they recently averaged around 762 per day, which can be attributed to both the current flu and coronavirus surges. One more shooting, this time actually resulting in a fatality. Baton Rouge police detectives are investigating a deadly shooting that claimed the life of 61-year-old man Wednesday. Timothy Kelly was found sitting inside of his vehicle suffering from gunshot wounds on the corner of North Acadian and Gus Young Avenue yesterday afternoon around 4:15 p.m. Police said Kelly died on the scene. An eyewitness told WBRZ's news crew it appeared the victim was shot while inside the car, though the investigation here is ongoing. Those are your top stories. Here's a look at what's trending this morning. Ooh, yes. Jake, what is the alligator shark rule?
If there is an alligator or shark story, that means we have to talk about it.
Darn right it is. That is exactly right. What if I throw this word out there? Were sharks.
Then we have to talk about it.
Absolutely. LSU on top of the science on this one. New research from LSU and the University of Florida. LSU and Florida playing basketball last night and teaming up on sharks. LSU and Florida suggests more shark attacks occurred during fuller phases of the moon. While the exact cause remains unclear, researchers found that more shark attacks than average occur during periods of higher lunar illumination. Lunar illumination is a fantastic phrase. And fewer attacks than average occur during periods of lower illumination. Many different types of animals show behaviors that are linked to moon phases. Sharks don't howl. Yet few studies to date have looked at the connections between lunar phases and shark attacks. Now, this isn't all about how bright it is. It also has to do with, like, different forces within gravity and whatnot. The lunar phases having an effect on sharks. They get a little bit more frisky. They get a little bit more aggressive during certain lunar phases. So, full moon brings the sharks out. Were sharks. Coming to the Sci-Fi Channel. I can see it right now. Look, if you've got, like, you know, Sharkosaurus versus Croco, whatever, that's one thing. But were sharks is another one altogether. 7:15, Talk 107.3 FM. Let's take a quick break. Check traffic. Come back. Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome is next. That is probably Don trying to get in the building. Oh, yeah, absolutely. How are you? After you, I do Crimestoppers every Thursday. So. Yeah, the folks from Eye Care, they come on once a month. What's happening? I mean, I'm setting it up for you. Your job will be easy. Hey, are the mics on, Jake? Well, we're always on YouTube. That's 718 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. So last Wednesday at the Rotary Club meeting, Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome gave her State of the City address, and joining me right now with a little recap of some of the high points is the mayor. Mayor, welcome back. How are you?
I'm good, and it's good to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. We're starting off 2022 in a kind of a weird spot from a number of different angles. Can we talk about crime first?
Let's hit it.
Okay. 2021 was not the best. In fact, record-wise, was the worst as far as homicides were concerned. 2022 starting off with, well, last weekend was brutal. Correct. And then this week we've seen a couple shootings as well. Mm-hmm. From your office's standpoint, where are we at with fighting back? Where are we at with public safety?
And that's why I love the opportunity to be on your show to talk about it, because I need the public to know that we are working every day in this fight against crime. Let me just share some of the things that we're doing. You know, we do what I call a programmatic approach, mm-hmm. which means that we have programs in place to address many of the issues that are the impetus behind crime. But we also have put dollars with law enforcement. So what does that mean? It means that, you know, I gave $500,000 of American Rescue Plan money to help special prosecutors and public defenders to address the backlogs that are in the court. You know, we've given $8 million to help our Baton Rouge Police Department with patrol units, $1.8 million for technological advances in the Baton Rouge Police Department, including license plate readers, and $3.3 million to implement gun violence reduction strategies, $400,000 for initiatives administered by our East Baton Rouge Parish District Attorney Hilla Moore's office. So we are putting money and resources to address the problem. We also recognize that, you know, there are vacancies in our BRPD department mm-hmm. that we need to fill. But I have given the chief, and I think he was on here the other
Tuesday.
day.
Yeah.
I have given him the authority to do as much overtime as needed to help have boots on the ground. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he shared with you also, but there is a tactical force of collaboration that's going on with the sheriff, the state police, and BRPD to address crime. Mm-hmm. I'm willing to do, and I've told my team and I've told the police, whatever is needed to fight crime, it is a number one priority, and I will make it happen.
See, that's good to hear, because we're coming out of now mm-hmm. a phase where police have not had the best reputation. And I'm not talking about Baton Rouge specifically. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about nationwide, just the overall vibe of things.
Yeah.
Police have not been shown in the best light recently, and I feel like that pendulum is starting to swing back in the mm-hmm. proper direction. Mm-hmm. But it has been an uphill battle, which makes recruitment an uphill battle, especially in a place that's going to have higher crime. When you can go to a smaller town and be a police officer, be lauded as a hero versus be vilified, to have a full-on support, not just from the administration, but from the public as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I do believe that the pendulum has changed, that I know since I have been in office, we have worked consistently to close the gap between our police department and the citizens, and I see it working. Mm-hmm. I see results. Now, what I hear from citizens, Brian, is that, you know, we want more police on the street. So that shows the shift that has taken place. You bring up a very valid point. Can you say the word stress? You know, for our law enforcement officials, they feel very stressed by a lot of what is going on.
Well, yes.
And you're right. Sometimes that impacts recruitment. But I am optimistic because we had a great class that just completed. I even went in and talked with them before they graduated, one-on-one with no one else in there, because I wanted to hear their hearts about policing, about why they became police officers with BRPD, about what they would like to see happen as new officers coming in. And so we're going to intensify our recruitment efforts, and we have a class, maybe 2 classes coming up soon.
There's one going on right now.
No,
Chief
yeah,
said
that's right.
Chief said they've already lost a couple out of this current one, which that's natural attrition. Happens every time. But that being said, there is no amount of police officers that will. You can't be proactive about police work in that regard. It's naturally reactive. You can't have a police officer standing outside, or in the case of domestic violence, inside every single house in Baton Rouge. It's just it's not.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be the goal.
No.
That being said, resources need to go into other avenues as well.
Yeah, so you bring up a very good point. You know, oftentimes you hear the phrase that we cannot police ourselves out of what is going on because, you know, we realize that the pandemic has caused an uptick in crime. We realize that there are mental health, substance abuse issues, domestic abuse issues that have elevated. And, of course, we have programs to help disrupt those, but that's all a part of the process. Brian, I wanted to share this with you. Yesterday, I participated in a call, a webinar, actually. I was not a speaker. I just wanted to listen. The webinar was focused on, in fact, I want to try to quickly give you the title of that webinar and tell you a couple of things that I learned from it. It was from the Council on Criminal Justice, 10 essential action cities can take to reduce violence now.
Okay.
So I got on that and listened. There were about 500 people on the call, government officials, law enforcement officials, citizen organizations. And these were the 10 essential things that they said. This is a national organization. Set a clear goal, commit to saving lives by stopping violence. 2, identify the key people and places driving the violence. 3, create a citywide plan for engaging key people and places. 4, engage key people with empathy and accountability. 5, address key locations using place-based policing and investment. 6, place responsibility for violence reduction at the top. 7, emphasize healing with trauma-informed approaches. 8, invest in anti-violence workforce development. 9, set aside funding for new stakeholders and strategies. And 10, commit to continuous improvement. Now, we can check the box on some of those.
First 5, absolutely. But when you get to the placing responsibility part, this is where the questions really start to come up. A chief can send his folks out there to arrest people, and then he's sending them out to arrest them again a week later. How do we bridge that gap?
Okay. Place responsibility for violence reduction at the top. So that is all of us who are in leadership, not only the executive branch of city parish government, not only the legislative branch of city parish government, but the judicial branch of our city as well. I think, you know, one of the missing pieces of this puzzle that people don't always understand or embrace is that many times, and just read the paper, we've got repeat offenders who are out there. Some people who are still out on bond are committing other crimes.
Look, you look no further than Chris Nakamoto over at Wbrz. He's been all over this story. Had him on yesterday to talk about it. 3 different individuals with 3 different bonds each. Had the graphic on the screen look like the Brady Bunch up there with all the boxes and squares of how many times they've been let out over and over again. How does, from an executive standpoint, from the mayor's office, how do you cross the streams there? I mean, do you have to like pick fights and start calling people out by name?
No, I don't think that's what.
Could you?
We don't want that. We don't want to use that approach. We're going to use a more diplomatic approach.
Maybe you.
And but you know what we are doing, and the chief is doing it, and certainly I am going to join in that conversation. Is have these conversations. I think the chief already has started talking to the judges about what needs to be done, how we can close that gap that exists, just like you said, that was in Chris Nakamoto's story. I want to stand up not only the resources, but see how we can infuse the work of our PD department by perhaps having something in the mayor's office. I'm not trying to create another department,
Right.
but a person who is also strictly responsible for crime reduction.
Okay. Well, you would think that would fold under the chief's job description to begin with.
That's part of
Right.
the chief's role.
But somewhat of a liaison between
All
the
of the different
executive, the Department of
sectors,
Corrections,
all
all
of
of
the
it.
different sectors,
That's fair. That's a good spot.
like a liaison.
We've only got we're so nowhere into this
It's time to
conversation.
go.
I know. No. We got 2 minutes left. We got 2 minutes left. So I'm going to go ahead and skip past infrastructure.
Okay.
I'll circle back with Fred to talk drainage later on.
Okay.
But you had something in your State of the City address last week that I found interesting that it made the cut. Litter. Why did litter make the cut, and what are we doing to attack it?
Because, if I were to make a list of the top 10 emails and phone calls I get, litter is right up there in the top 5. And so our city parish team has responded to an influx of in litter by dedicating additional crews to addressing trash and debris, increasing our sweeping, implementing new schedules for our right-of-way. And recently we brought on an experienced quality of place specialist who has worked with cities across the country to address similar issues. And so we're working strategically, we're intensifying our efforts, but the main thing is we want to have a sustainable approach to litter reduction. In the upcoming weeks, you will see an elevated level of focus on litter reduction in a press conference.
Can that only be done from picking up, or can that be done on a preventative way? I mean, we
takes
shouldn't
it all.
have to go behind people all the time.
I know. It's one of the most frustrating things for me. Why do we have to tell people? Why do we have to tell people don't throw anything out of your car? Don't trash. Don't leave crawfish on the levee. Why do we have to tell people that? I don't understand that.
Well, first of all, if you're eating crawfish on the levee, you're balancing it on your lap, and that's just a bad vibe. Go to a Breck Park where you've got a full picnic table. That's a whole other thing.
Put it in the garbage.
Put it in the garbage can. Why is that so difficult for us to do? There's a level of, is it a lack of civic pride? And how do you?
I think it's a lack of pride in yourself and your community if you're doing that kind of stuff.
We're already out of time for this particular segment. Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome. I do want to circle back on infrastructure and drainage at not too far in the future, because there's a lot that's been going on with Movie BR.
Yes.
And the drainage portion of that presentation was, which by the way, it's still on the Rotary Club's Facebook page if you want to go back and look at it. It's impressive what's already been done, but my guess is it's going to rain again before it gets finished. So we'll have to pick that up at another time. In the meanwhile, thank you so much for coming in today. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll come back.
Absolutely. She's Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome. Quick break for news, traffic, weather. We blew right past CBS, so we'll get our local news right here. Coming back, Crimestoppers is headed your way next, right here on Talk 107.3 FM, the new flavor of talk.
Thank you, sir.
I apologize. I don't normally wear a mask during the show. Is that just okay?
The corona's thick right now.
Well, the way I look at it, I tested negative this week, and I'm vaccinated, boosted,
Yeah,
the whole thing.
I am too, but I have somebody who has an underlying health condition, so I need to be
I completely understand.
because I'm always out.
I just didn't want to weird you out. Like,
No,
I hope I
I'm
wasn't
good.
making you uncomfortable.
No,
Okay.
you weren't.
All right.
But
We're special, though. We don't go to all.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Mark specifically said, "Can you come in person to Brian?"
Well, I always appreciate it. And no, I understand if you want to. Phone's fine too. But yeah, no, love having you in. Bye, Mayor. Bye, Mark. All right, let's get that YouTube back open again. I was trying to tweet out that I had the mayor on in real time. Good morning. Come on in.
Brian, let me introduce you to our guest. This is Miss TK.
TK?
Yes.
Abawi? Okay.
Miss TK, you're going to sit here. Well, let me get a picture first.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm super. How are you?
I'm nervous.
No, don't be. It's fun. We're gonna have fun. It's
I
over
listened
before
to
you
you.
know. She gave you a script?
Yes, well, I have the question.
Okay. Well, you can throw it away. No, we just talked. That's why. Okay.
You have the script?
Yeah.
I'm going to wait till your name comes up.
Okay. Oh yeah. We'll do it with the logo instead of the sponsors. Although Mooyah would appreciate.
No.
Yeah. All right. Fair. Oh yeah, on Segan Lane by Industrialplex. So. What? Oh yeah, what you doing? Get over here, fool.
I didn't want to ruin the picture.
Whatever.
Or stop my phone from working. Okay, 1, 2, and come up before he comes. 1, 2, and then I'll get another 1, 2, and 1, 2, and it is on. Gotcha.
Cool. All right, thank you.
All right, let's
Pronounce your last name one more time, just to make sure I don't. Abawi.
I had to think of the abs.
And you can
Yes.
TK is fine.
TK?
Yeah, Miss TK is fine.
Okay.
What we do have though at the end, is there any way I can jump in and mention the eye care? We have an eye care summit coming up.
Yes, I'll make sure to reserve. How long you need? 90 seconds? 30 seconds?
30.
Okay. Yeah, it's for the video camera. So, yeah, we look. You can see us on camera. It looks normal on camera. It's I'm very pale, damn near translucent. So when the light's too bright, I white my own face out.
Some food just doesn't work at work, but Easy Cater just does. Food for work on time and as ordered from over 82,000 restaurants. Order 24/7 at easycater.com.
Brandon Ollie here. You need windows? Then you need Relief Windows. ReliefWindows.com. Hey, this is
Yeah, it sounded like chicken sounds. I wasn't. Yeah.
Skies will be clear today. Temperatures will warm into the 60s this afternoon, and tonight temperatures will stay out of the 30s, but still cold in the low 40s. Friday is looking beautiful with mostly sunny skies and afternoon temperatures in the upper 60s. Friday night will be a bit warmer, temperatures in the upper 40s and low 50s. Saturday is when the
What?
cold front is coming through. Expect to see some afternoon rain, and as things clear up overnight, temperatures will drop back.
That's not supposed to start till Monday, I thought.
On Sunday, temperatures will struggle to reach the 50s, but with mostly sunny skies.
Wow. Okay. I'll do it in the next segment. Yeah. No. It's on its way. Just there's an event coming up. So.
where every week we take a closer look at fighting crime, stopping crime, and crime prevention. You really want to get what are you prepared to do? Everything. As always, if you have information that you think would help solve a crime, call 344-STOP.
All it takes is a phone and an open mind. No one will know.
My eyes on the pound. It's Crimestoppers on Talk 107.3 FM.
Yes, it is time for Crime Stoppers, and yes, we are diving into a pretty heavy topic today. We are talking about domestic violence. I want to welcome in TK Abawi to the show. TK, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you?
Doing very, very well. Let's get this right up on you where we make sure everyone can hear you loud and clear, because what you're going to have to say today is going to go a long way. Domestic violence has been a problem of a record-breaking sort in the last year. You know what? Let's back this up. Let's give you a proper introduction. Tell everybody who you are and what brings you here today.
Good morning. I'm TK Abawi. I am a community liaison with iCare,
Mhm.
and I serve on their Violence Prevention Coalition.
Domestic violence breaking records last year, not just with regular incidents, but with homicides as well.
Yeah.
What kind of numbers do you have for us? Like, what does that look like in actual data terms?
In 2020, there were 19 DV-related deaths in Baton Rouge, and in 2021, that skyrocketed to 35. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men are victims of domestic violence, so this happens pretty frequently.
19 to 35, and we all as humans tend to focus on the homicides, but it's so much larger than that, and you don't want to downplay that. That number is almost double. It's kind of ridiculous within itself, which is, I'm guessing, one of the many reasons that we're talking about this today. What are some of the other reasons? Why is this important that we can talk about this?
It's extremely common. It's a community health issue. You can develop depression, anxiety, lead to substance abuse, alcohol abuse, increased risk of cancers, heart attack, and stroke. And it also creates for unsafe communities. Children especially, they witness over half of DV incidents that occur in the home, and then they can also become victims of violence themselves through child abuse. Those children grow up to become either victims or abusers if they grow up in that environment. So it really affects the whole community.
Yeah, it's true that when you're a parent, you're parenting all the time.
Absolutely.
So, you don't want this to be generational. You don't want it to be cyclical. That's one part of it, but I think the other part of this is all the other things that you mentioned as well. So anxiety, depression, substance abuse, these are all things we want to prevent before they happen. Are there warning signs we can look out for?
Absolutely. If I'm in a relationship with someone and I am not sure if they are abusing me, some indicators I might look for are extreme jealousy, isolation if they don't want me around family and friends, the way they talk to me. Are they demeaning? Do they embarrass me in front of others? Are they controlling? Do they want to control what I wear or where I go? Or if I'm in a financial bind with this person, are they withholding funds from me? So it's really all about control. There are different types of abuse. It can be emotional, physical, mental, financial, and if the abuser is a man, he can use his male privilege in an abusive way.
I'm sorry, he could use his male privilege, you said?
Yes.
Define that for me, because that's going to leave a lot of people fighting back, if you will.
So there are gender roles that some people conform to, and so if he uses language like stay in a woman's place, or you have to do what I say because I'm the man, or I should make all the money and you don't get anything because I'm the man. So there is a such thing as male privilege, but it becomes abusive when you start to deny a woman or your partner their human rights.
Is that okay? I'm just speaking from ignorance on this completely. Okay. That's still a thing, like the whole Archie Bunker mentality. You're talking 50 years ago. That's still prevalent.
It's very prevalent, and it continues to spill over into places outside of the home as well. So,
it could be eye opening from time to time, just to think that some folks are still just stuck. It's touchy when you talk about family. Absolutely. It's touchy when you talk about a husband and wife to that husband or that wife. Like you said, it's 1 in 4 women, 1 in 9 men. So we could be talking about either side of the coin. I guess that wouldn't be male privilege if it's the woman attacking the man.
Right.
But it can be touchy because you're talking about a relationship. You were talking about the most personal of relationships. When you see signs, and I'm air quoting signs because you don't know going in if it's a sign or if it's just a one-off or if it's something that you misinterpreted. How do you go about bridging that gap or starting that conversation of, hey, look, I don't mean to pry here, but ... How do you do that?
Let's get into some indicators first, because you never want to just immediately assume, but say this is your sibling, and you notice that previously your sister was very vibrant, and she had a huge personality, and then she became more withdrawn.
Right.
She became isolated, didn't interact with family and friends. That's a huge indicator. If you notice physical indicators, black eyes, bruises, or clothing and accessories that cover what could be a bruise, that could be an indicator as well. But if this is somebody that you have a connection with, you could always ask and do it in a very gentle way.
Give me some examples.
seeing how they're feeling. How are you? What's
Mm-hmm.
going on with you? I noticed that you didn't come to the party. I noticed that you stopped going to art classes. I noticed that you quit your job, because if I'm being financially abused, my partner may say, well, you're not allowed to work. And so if you notice a huge life change, you can bring up things like that, and hopefully you have a connection that's deep enough with this person to where they trust you and are able to open up about their situation. But you don't want to be overbearing and say, hey, is he beating on you? Because that could put them in jeopardy.
You'll get shut down really quickly. Absolutely.
Exactly.
All right. So, and Susan told you I throw away the script, right? All right. Good.
Yeah,
Okay,
she
good.
did.
So, how hard do you press part one, and part two? How much do you work behind the scenes to talk to other friends and relatives without being, without being that guy, without being like, I don't want to be talking behind somebody's back, but you see what Tom's doing to Sue. Like, how hard do you press before you worry about them shutting you out and shutting down? Because that's a real thing as well.
Well, if I can see that the person is becoming visibly uncomfortable with the conversation, that would be an indicator to me to, one, back off, and then two, maybe lean into community. So if this, again, is my sister, I would immediately engage my mom.
Right.
Now, we don't want to bombard the victim with trying to help them, because at a certain point it can put them in jeopardy. But when you are surrounded by community and you can lean into other people, it's easier to get help.
We talked a little bit about the trickle-down effect on kids. How else does domestic violence affect the family structure?
If there weren't programs like iCare who have specialists in the schools to distribute this information, children will witness abuse in the home and then go on to think that behavior is okay. So then they grow up to be abusers or victims. Also, there's a such thing as elder abuse. If you have an abusive partner and there's a parent in the home, it can also affect them as well. Students grow up to be adults who get into relationships, and so you don't want what you've learned in your childhood or things that you've seen in your childhood to manifest in your adulthood. So it's really important for us to catch the students now, give them the information so that they can grow up and make better decisions for themselves.
And what do y'all do? What's iCare's role? How do y'all step in?
iCare specialists are in different schools around Baton Rouge, and we create campaigns and programming to distribute this information to the students. I graduated from McKinley Senior High School, and I was fortunate enough to be in iCare in Team Spirit. Dr. Thornton was actually my specialist, and she gave us the responsibility of distributing this information. So we ran the campaigns and were able to connect with our peers. It sounds a lot different coming from an adult. It can feel kind of talky, but when you get the students to create these opportunities to teach each other about these things, it goes a long way. This information hopefully is going throughout the school, going back home, and can save someone's life.
Now, I would assume there's been more occasions than you'd care to count where education and practice come into play at the exact same time. What's the procedure when you're talking, you're teaching at the school about this, student comes right back at you, says, I'm living it right now?
Awesome. I would be honored, because that means that they trust me enough to assist them, and I would immediately direct them to some resources that we have here in the community, be it the police, Crimestoppers, the Family Justice Center, Wbrz. But also, if an iCare specialist is not in the school, or if I'm not at the school, then you would want to talk to a trusted adult, a teacher, a counselor, the principal, because they know who to contact in the event that a student comes forward with information.
I would imagine follow-through is paramount on this, making sure if they trust you on the front end, you've got their back all the way through.
Absolutely.
And not just, I'm gonna let BRPD know and then it's hands off, because from their end, like, they're still in it, they're still living it. So I just I feel like that's a very important piece of the puzzle.
Absolutely. We never want to give students resources and then leave them to their own devices. They need support all the way through. They're still children. And then some of these issues are much bigger than them. They may not even really understand what's going on in the home. But if they are aware enough to notice that abuse is happening and they reach out to you, you want to make sure that you support that student along the way by connecting them to resources that will help them lead safe and healthy lives.
And the working with Crimestoppers, how's that worked out on a day-to-day basis? How's that partnership work?
The partnership is that we're able to educate the students, the families, and then Crimestoppers, along with law enforcement, can help spread that information as well, but also holding the abusers accountable through the legal system.
Couple of we have just enough time. Some resources that are available for support victims or to support victims of domestic violence. What's out there right now?
Okay, there's the Wbrz Domestic Violence Center, and so they have a 24-hour hotline that you can call for immediate assistance. They provide shelter, and they can also connect you to legal assistance. The Family Justice Center, which is right down the street from here, it's like a one-stop shop. So they can connect you to Wbrz and other organizations, but they can also get you mental health counseling for adults and children, and family counseling, which is much needed. Of course, there's iCare, and we service different schools throughout Baton Rouge, so we connect directly to the students. And then there's Crimestoppers, of course.
She is TK Abawi. Thank you so much for hopping on board. Look, hang tight, because when we get into break, I've got 2 more questions for you for our YouTube audience. Perfect. But I did promise Dr. Thornton the last 60 seconds of the segment. She asked for 30, but she's never said anything in 30. 60. You know I love you.
Love you.
What you got?
Good morning. I'd like the listening audience, those who are listening and driving, and for everyone to know that iCare has a summit coming up.
Yes.
This summit is January the 25th. It's at 8 a.m. to 2:45. And the big thing, it's number one, it's free, but we'll have topics such as human trafficking, sexual trauma. They're going to be talking about media, but this time they're talking about the dark side of media. 2 components. We'll have a professional track and we'll have a parent track. We're asking all to spread the word, to tune in. It's virtual. Did I tell you? It is virtual. iCare Summit, January 25th, free.
Virtual, but what's the website?
Website, just call the iCare office, first of
Okay.
all, 226-2273, or icare@ebrzschools.org.
The dark side of media.
Dark side of media.
I've never wanted to not hear my name before. Now I kind of do.
Yes.
The dark side of media. Dr. Susan Thornton, thank you so much for hopping on board.
Much.
Absolutely. We bring you our eye care segment as part of Crimestoppers every month, and it's gotten a lot heavier than just the poster contest, hasn't it?
Yes.
I mean, domestic violence has been out of control. Hey, if you're watching us on YouTube, stick around. I've got a little bit more for TK. We want to talk about domestic abuse through the pandemic, because that's really been one of the triggers, if you will, that everybody's pointing back to. So we're going to talk about that on YouTube. On air, we got a quick break. We're going to check traffic. Coming right back after traffic, we will have, we step outside of East Baton Rouge Parish. The Outside In is coming your way next, right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Half a second off. Yeah. All right. So we're still on YouTube. So the pandemic has been just brutal across the board. All right, Tom. Brutal across the board. And domestic violence has really come to the forefront as far as statistics are concerned. The pandemic has shut down people's networks. It has shut down people's outlets, their coping mechanisms, and isolated people, and worsened what we were seeing before.
Absolutely.
At which, I mean, the numbers bear it out. 19 homicides up to 35.
Yes.
Have y'all been able to change your playbook because of this? Is there some level of adaptability? Is there anything different from your standpoint today than there was? Like, how has it changed the game from your end?
From our end, it just becomes that much more important.
Yeah.
We have to show people how to get to the resources in a way that's safe. The victim's life is most in jeopardy when the abuser finds out that they're trying to leave. But if you're on lockdown and your abuser is in the same home,
right,
or you have lost your job or can't work during the pandemic, your immediate resources are immediately, cut off from you. So the most that we can do, because we're not in all the homes, or we can't be everywhere at one time, is to give them new ways to survive, and then also get access to those resources so that they can escape, essentially.
Yeah, it becomes that much more important, because when jobs are lost, and this is like more the beginning of the pandemic than now, right, because jobs are starting, they're coming back full force.
Right, but if you're in a situation where you were working previously, and then you went on a lockdown, or you didn't have a job, now you become maybe financially bound to your partner,
right,
or you're in a household where the resources are extremely limited. So although people are going back to work, if your abuser says, oh, well, I don't want you working anymore, that's another roadblock that you have to consider.
The Iris that you were talking about, Iris Center. If I'm not mistaken, it used to be called the Battered Women's Shelter. Is that the same?
Yes, but we want to change the language around that.
Do you mind me asking why?
Battered women makes them sound more like victims and survivors. We want to empower them. So Iris Domestic Violence Center is there to create a safe space for the victims, and we don't just want to call them battered women because they're more than just that.
No, absolutely they are. I'm always curious about the mentality behind it because it's a brutal title.
Absolutely.
But it brings about the stark nature of how brutal the crime is as well.
Absolutely.
So it's twofold. But I get where you're at with that. There's validity in that. As far as wanting more resources for those that I don't know, were you able to give out websites?
No website.
Just to make sure. Oh, okay.
But I believe Iris is iris.org.
.org.
And then the Family Justice Center is cafjc.org. Both of these entities have Facebooks, they have Instagrams, they have Twitters, so you can find them everywhere. But if you go to cafjc.org, they have a pop-up of other resources that you have access to.
I appreciate you sticking around. Thank you so much for the information. Thank you so much for the work y'all do. I know it's an uphill battle, and it's never an easy subject to talk about.
And
I can't imagine.
Go
Go for it.
Sure. There's a common myth that victims don't want to leave, and I think that's something that we need to change. It's not always they don't want to leave, it's can they leave? Do they have the resources? Do they have the community?
And what's the repercussions if they're not successful?
Their lives could be in danger.
Yeah,
once
absolutely.
finds out.
Absolutely. No. It is a multi-layered situation every single time. Right. So I got to into my next segment. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
We're not
much.
done. I'm going to make sure Susan brings you back. This is a pressing problem. It needs to be talked about as often as possible.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, TK. Thank you. 7:55, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. If you are not watching on YouTube, you need to be because TK stuck around for a few extra minutes. That was just, we peeled back a couple more layers of the onion, as it were. Really great information from TK Abawi, talking eye care as part of Crimestoppers. 19 homicides jumps to 35. That's a big number. That is a big number. And that's a number that when you back up and look at crime as a whole, how do you stop that before it happens? I mean, we all like to point our fingers when we see crime in Baton Rouge at the low-hanging fruit. We place the blame wherever we place it, but how do you get back around to solving that problem before it happens, before there's a victim? All right, next hour, another jam-packed hour next hour. We got Congresswoman Julia Letlow at 8:15. Do I have this time right? Yes, Congresswoman Letlow is at 8:15. Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser at 8:40. We're going to be talking about the Parents' Bill of Rights that Congresswoman Letlow has brought to the Capitol, and a few other topics as well. Government spending is going to come up. Right now, though, we've got to step outside of East Baton Rouge Parish for the Outside In.
With 6 locations and extended hours to fit your needs, BRPT Lake has got you covered. Schedule online now at brptlake.com. The Outside In is coming your way now. We gotta get out of this town. Yeah, and go where? Where are we gonna go?
St. James Parish, where a teacher was arrested on charges in 2 different parishes this week, including charges related to sex crimes involving a juvenile. 50-year-old Lisa Samuels was first arrested by the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office on DWI charges, transferred to St. James, where she is charged with molestation of a juvenile and indecent behavior with juveniles. This charges came down yesterday. The victim was under 13 years old. In Ascension Parish, deputies also said Samuels was arrested driving with a suspended license and for careless operation. Down in New Orleans, 34-year-old Benjamin Beal was arrested Wednesday morning after police found a dismembered body in a freezer on his property in a residential Ninth Ward neighborhood. New Orleans police officers executed a search warrant in the 2200 block of Pauline Street just before noon Tuesday related to the disappearance of a woman named Julia Dardar. She had been missing since at least November of 2021 when the report was filed. During the search, authorities found a headless human torso in a freezer that was located inside of a bus that was parked on the property. Over Tangipahoa Parish, a man sleeping in a dumpster was crushed Tuesday morning when the trash was dumped into a garbage truck and compacted. Hammond police officers believe 42-year-old Jermaine Watts climbed into the dumpster Monday night to escape the cold, was unaware the trash would be picked up the following morning. Officers said there are no signs of foul play. More information will be released when a final autopsy is performed. It's just a brutal outside in today. Closing out Assumption Parish, free take-home COVID tests will be given out on a first-come, first-served basis tomorrow. Starting at 9 a.m., the Assumption Parish Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness will be using a drive-through at the Assumption Parish Community Center to hand out Binax Now COVID-19 self-test kits. Because tests are short in supply, each car will only get one kit that contains 2 tests. All needed materials and instructions are included in the kit. The drive-through will last until they run out of kits. That is the Outside In, presented by Baton Rouge Physical Therapy. Check them out online at brptlake.com, brptlake.com. 917-9185 is the phone number. Get back to being your best you with Baton Rouge Physical Therapy.
Protect your retirement. Visit SafeMoneyPlan.net.
Galen says, I don't want to hear how murder is up everywhere. Baton Rouge doesn't have to correlate to other cities, New York, Detroit, etc. We could be better than that. When we implement their policies, we get their stats. Galen, don't skip to the bottom of the page, man. The conversation will eventually come back around to that. Remember the trips to Austin and Tampa and Cincinnati and everywhere else economic development people went to learn how to do things? Where there was a junket twice a year, where we asked, what are they doing right, and how can we replicate it? As the narrative grows that crime is up everywhere, and it's not just a narrative, it's true. Crime is up everywhere. But as that narrative grows, one should start asking the question, what are they doing wrong elsewhere, and how can we distance ourselves from it? That's, to me, if that's not the topic of 2022, well, once you get COVID off the table. But if that's not the topic of 2022, then what are we even doing here? But yes, Galen. For now, you set the table by saying it is up everywhere. The next question becomes the follow-up, if you will. Excuse me, got a follow-up? Follow-up question. Why? Did they not take our trash out last night? What's up with that? Oh, I bet you they came by while Kevin was on the air. Didn't want to interrupt. What are they talking about? Blood pumping through your organ? Oh, a heart. Oops. But look at this link. Startling. Well, you got to have the link. Hey, Nina, thank you so much. Yes, I dive in on that pretty hard. So when I was at, I worked in hotels before I worked in radio, and one of the things that I did was we had 2 rooms in the hotel reserved every night for what was at the time known as the Battered Women's Shelter. I still don't know where I'm at on the whole, like, you fluff up the name. Well, we want them to be empowered. Well, a black eye and a fat lip isn't exactly empowering. I don't know. I see the benefits on the other side. I don't want to lessen the crime. Does that make sense? like if you fluff it up, it's pretty and everything, and yeah, that could be empowering on the victim's end, but it also lessens the impact. George Carlin used to do a bit about how we talk about PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Somewhere within there, we've lost the impact that came with what it was originally called, shell shock. Shell shock hits home. You hear the term shell shock. A bomb went off behind you, and now it's messed you up. Well, he uses a different word. Like, he goes through the verbiage of it from then till now, from World War I to today. And, like, post-traumatic stress disorder sounds like, you know, you're having, like, a breathing problem because of hay fever. Are you lessening... You want the shock value of the heavy-handed statement or the heavy-handed verbiage. Ew. I haven't even looked at this day in history yet. Bing bong. Hooty hoo. No, she's in Washington, D.C. Bro. .806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Hour 3 in Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Busy hour this hour. Got Congresswoman, I almost said Julia Louis-Dreyfus, but that might be foreshadowing the next segment. Congresswoman Letlow set to join us in our next segment. Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser is going to hop on board. Louisiana Marathon's this weekend. Going to be a rainy Saturday and a freezing cold Sunday. But nonetheless, the runners will be here. And as cold as we feel, they're coming from places that are colder. That's why we have the marathon in Louisiana in January. It's the only place you can have a marathon in January, and it is upon us. What kind of impacts does the Louisiana Marathon have from a tourism standpoint? And, oh, by the way, how are we doing setting the table for 2022? Billy Nungesser on the hotline at 8:40 to talk about exactly that. Thanks again to Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome. For diving in on, and I honestly didn't mean to go that heavy on crime. It's that important, yes. And probably her and I could like sit down for a full hour, maybe more, on one topic before moving on to the next topic. I appreciate her time. I appreciate her coming in. If you missed it, it'll be available on demand at talk1073.com, or might I suggest checking out our YouTube page. Mornings with Brian Haldane on YouTube. Go ahead, subscribe while you're there. Subscribe while you're there so you'll get the heads up every time we go live in the morning, and you'll get a little description of what we're talking about that day. For example, if you didn't know we had the mayor on today, you would have if you'd subscribed on YouTube. Bing! Would have popped right up there for you. Hey, check out Mornings with Brian Haldane. The mayor's coming on at 7:15. Hey, check it out. Billy Nungesser's coming up at 8:40. Although, to be fair, I don't think I put it on the rundown, so Jake wouldn't have had it in the description. But usually, it'll be there for you. We had a lot of ground to cover this hour, so I need to shut up and just get to this day in history. What you got?
Good morning, everyone. We're starting things off in 1930. Mickey Mouse, may or may not have heard of him. Mickey Mouse comic strip first appears.
The comic strip?
Yes.
I didn't know it was a comic strip.
It was pretty much everything under the sun at this point.
Yeah.
1942, World War II, first use of the aircraft ejection seat by a German test pilot. They tried the ejector seat for the first time.
Okay, do we know who?
Heinkel He.
You're just making it up.
No, I'm not. It's literally right there.
Heinkel what?
He.
Okay.
H-E.
I believe his last name is pronounced. All right, go ahead.
1943, Adolf
That was
Hitler.
a long setup for a bad punchline. That was stupid.
Yeah, it was
Sorry.
whatever. 1943, Adolf Hitler declares total war against the Allies. How'd that go?
Well, speaking of ejection seats.
Oh. Speaking of,
Yeah.
1987.
He's living comfortably in Argentina. Shut up.
7 top New York City mafia bosses sentenced to 100 years in prison each.
The commission was taken down. One Rudolph Giuliani at the helm of knocking that out. Giuliani settling all family business.
Fair enough. 1999, basketball superstar Michael Jordan announces his second retirement just prior to the start of the lockout-shortened 1998 to 99 NBA season.
Yeah.
He returned in 2001 with Washington. Which,
Yes.
He did.
Yeah. Wait. With Washington?
Yeah, the Wizards.
The Wizards, that's right. Yeah. Sorry.
2000, Microsoft chairman Bill Gates steps aside as chief executive and promotes company president Steve Ballmer to the position.
Excellent.
2016, record Powerball lottery held in America. $1.6 billion.
That was when we had the big jackpot last week.
B.
Yeah.
3 winning tickets.
Billion. That's Dr. Evil money right there.
No, really. And, well, I can't not mention this. This came up in my Snapchat memories today. 2019, 2 years ago. Or, no, 3 years ago, excuse me. The national championship. LSU beat Clemson to win their national title. I was there at the game, played in band. It was awesome. I didn't write anything about it.
Wait, that was on this day?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. There it is right there. Okay, finally. No, sir. It wasn't 2019. It was 2020.
You're right. Oh, my goodness.
It was the 2019 season.
Yeah,
That's why I was missing it.
Yes, because that's the only good thing that happened that year.
Yeah. I was talking with somebody about that the other day. It was, we went national championship, and then we went up to Washington Mardi Gras, and then boom, it was all over with.
I remember.
Also had a marriage retreat in there as well. It was really great.
Huh.
Yeah, my own personal little history.
There you have it. That's all the events. Let's get down to the birthdays. First up, Orlando.
Oh, by the way, same day, 2020. Same day in 2020 was when Major League Baseball dropped the hammer on the Astros.
Oof.
Oh, yeah.
Oof.
I just created a short in my headphones for banging on the desk like they were banging on garbage cans.
It happens. Birthdays. Orlando Bloom turns 45. The less famous Hemsworth, although he's more famous than anybody I will ever know. Liam Hemsworth turns 32. Michael Pena turns 46. That's actually all the birthdays I got. You got any for me?
I got a couple.
Let's hear 'em.
Well, the service I use calls him a former Giants and Reds outfielder, Kevin Mitchell. Born on this day in 1962, Kevin Mitchell was also on the 86 World Series team for the Mets. Patrick Dempsey, a.k.a. Ronald Miller from Can't Buy Me Love, a.k.a. Dr. McDreamy from whatever show that was. Patrick Dempsey is 56 years old today. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is 61. Elaine from Seinfeld. Yeah.
Got it.
Veep, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. And Bob Baffert, the horse racing trainer or trainer.
Very nice.
Triple Crown winning trainer.
Happy birthday to all those mentioned. I didn't have any deaths to report. Let's get to the holidays.
Mel Stottlemyre.
I don't know who that is.
Former Major League pitcher.
Well, rest in peace, obviously. Holidays. Public Radio Broadcasting Day.
All right, then.
Yeah, we're kind of already feeling festive today. It's National Sticker Day. You like stickers?
What?
It's National Sticker Day.
Whatever.
Yeah. National Rubber Ducky Day.
It is Rubber Ducky Day.
We love that. Everyone take a bath, have your rubber ducky. And finally, make your dream come true today. Or true day. But do it today, because it is National Make Your Dream Come True Day.
All right, that'll do it for this day in history. Great job, Jake. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're talking with Congresswoman Letlow next. Can you make sure that's her and not somebody checking in on the next interview? She is, yeah. I love having her in Congress. I know she's not my representative, but she replaces a doctor. There was Doc Abraham was the representative from that district before. I like the fact that we get representation from doctors. We get representation from educators. I like the fact that Louisiana brings a little something different to the table when it comes to who represents us in Congress or who represents us on the Hill. We still have a doctor up there. Cassidy is a doctor. Like, it just, if when healthcare was, when the Affordable Care Act was all the rage, talking with Cassidy was like, it wasn't like talk. Everybody else talked politics. He would talk about actual use, actual implementation. He knew a thing or two about it. Oh, that's funny. Hey, Mitch for president. He ain't lying. Okay.
So what was she prior to being a congresswoman? You said she was an educator?
Mm-hmm. I believe it either was she a teacher or a principal? I don't remember.
This report is brought to you by Wbrz, where you can get up to $100 instant savings with the purchase of 4 eligible Bridgestone or Firestone tires. Visit Wbrz.com to learn more.
817 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser is coming your way in our next segment, talking about the Louisiana Marathon and its impacts on tourism in Baton Rouge. Right now, though, time for us to check in Washington, D.C. Actually, our third check-in in D.C. this week, as we've gotten every person who's represented in Baton Rouge will have been covered this week. We talked with Congressman Carter, we talked with Congressman Graves, and now we welcome in Congresswoman Julia Letlow. Julia, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Thanks, Brian. I don't know whether to be offended by that or happy.
Wait, why would you be offended by that? We got everybody covered here. Look,
I'm third in line. I get it.
Hey, no. Garrett and Troy are your opening acts. That's the way to look at it.
Oh, there we go. See?
Yeah.
Yeah,
See?
so I'm happy about it. Thank you.
The closer, Julia Letlow.
Oh, that's great. How are you, Brian?
I am doing very well. How are you? You're back in D.C. now, right?
I am back in D.C. Gonna get one last vote in and then head back to the district. I'm ready to see my kiddos.
Oh, I bet. What's that been like? I mean, I think it's safe to say you're far enough into the transition into the gig. What's the routine like? How's that working out?
Yeah, it's really great. I can't complain one bit. I'm able to be up here for 2 weeks and then back in the district for 2 weeks. And, when I'm back home, I can take those kiddos with me around the district. They can watch their mom serve, and I think they're going to be better for witnessing that process. So, it takes a whole team of people, as you know, to surround yourself that can help you raise a family. I have Luke's parents and my parents. So, I'm just really blessed in that regard.
How often do you bring them back to D.C., or do you just try and keep them out of the swamp altogether?
Oh, they love to come to D.C. So, every now and then they'll come up with me, and just to see D.C. through the eyes of a 4- and 2-year-old is absolutely phenomenal. I'll tell you real quick, we were doing a night tour of the different monuments and memorials, and I had Jeremiah, my 4-year-old, on my hip. We were going up the Lincoln Memorial last. And as you know, he's sitting up there in his chair, and I wanted to get his first reaction, so I put him down and let him climb those last steps.
Mm-hmm.
And he got up to the top, and he said, "Wow, it's God!" and I just cracked up. But, of course it is. And
Yes.
A 4-year-old dies, God on his throne. So it's just been an absolute delight, Brian.
We often forget when we're back home, like what a magnificent and awe-inspiring place Washington D.C. is. We get caught up in the mire of everyday politics, what we see on CNN or C-SPAN or whatever, or on Fox News. It just we vacationed there this past summer, which, by the way, the monuments at dusk around summertime, a lot of gnats. It's a different experience when you get to better weather.
Good to know.
Yeah, no, it is, especially the reflecting pond. Just keep a good stay outside of the sidewalk on the grass, and you're golden. Anyway, we forget how awe-inspiring and what a wonderful place it can be in the core of what we were originally as a nation. What that can be for us as a populace.
That's right, Brian. And, I feel that every day when I walk these halls. I still get chill bumps. I'm in awe of the history and the men and women who've walked these halls before me. I don't take a second for granted that I'm up here to do a job, and that's to serve the people of the 5th District.
Well, let's transition to how you are serving those people and actually keep it on line with being a parent. The Parents' Bill of Rights. This is kind of, pardon the pun, your baby right now.
It is.
What brought this up? Well, I already know the answer to this question. What brought this about?
Absolutely. Well, so many parents last year and the year before, through the pandemic, had a front row view of their children's curriculum because we had to fill in as teacher during their virtual learning sessions. And so, this is really a response to what we saw during that time. And it's just common sense legislation, Brian, that will increase parent engagement and lead to greater input throughout the learning process. And it really has just 5 quick core principles to it. Mm-hmm. And those are that parents have the right to review their school's curriculum and reading materials. They have the right to engage with their local school boards lawfully. They also have the right to see a school's budget and spending. And they have the right to protect their child's privacy. And they have finally the right to keep their child safe and be updated on any violent activity at school. And so, again, this is just common sense legislation, and it's my hope that it will receive bipartisan support.
I'm almost certain it will. If it weren't to receive bipartisan support, I would imagine bringing something that would normally be on a school board level up to a national level. Was there any hesitancy on your part about introducing this because of moving something from local government to Capitol Hill?
Yeah, Brian, we're not trying to tell individual districts or states what they should be teaching. We're just setting a very broad standard that will encourage parent engagement across the board and across the nation and bring more accountability. And really the main word here is transparency to the learning process. And in addition, these would only apply to schools that receive federal funding under Title I.
Which would pretty much be all public schools, correct?
Yeah, correct.
What's been the response so far?
It's been overwhelmingly positive. My background is education, and that's my passion. I'm the only member in the delegation to serve on Education and Labor Committee in Washington, and it's been overwhelmingly positive back home in the state, but also up here. I've received 100 co-sponsors get on the bill. So people just understand that parents absolutely need a seat at the table. And again, this is not a hit on our educators. They're doing an incredible job. Teachers are heroes, in my opinion. But this is really just to make sure parents have a say. And I think if you ask teachers across the board, they would say they want more parental involvement.
Oh, no, absolutely. And we saw that in a couple of different races, I believe special elections last year, where this came to the forefront. And I would imagine for 2022, with midterms, this bill in particular is going to garner a lot of headlines as it makes its way through.
Absolutely. I am so excited that education is receiving the amount of exposure that it's due. I never in a million years did I think that education would be one of the top 3 issues that voters were concerned about, but I am thrilled because it needs to be, Brian. Education is the answer. I've said that from day one. It is our answer out of poverty. It's our answer for the economy. So I'm thrilled. I could not be more excited that this is one of the top issues.
It's crazy. I was actually talking with my producer about this before this segment, is that I love that Louisiana is not afraid to send different people with different backgrounds up to Congress when it comes to having yourself as an educator. Or when the Affordable Care Act was making its way through, we had Doc Abraham and Senator Cassidy. Like, it just, you have people who know a thing or two about their individual professions and not just the politics of it. And you're right. Education's going to come to the forefront, not just on a transparency level, but when it comes to greater conversations about CRT or recarving out districts or wherever the conversation might lead. It's nice to have a basis or a floor, if you will, of where your knowledge will start from.
Absolutely. It's a house by the people, for the people, and we need people from all different backgrounds to share their expertise. You couldn't have said it any better, Brian. I echo your remarks.
Let's talk a little bit about what the government's doing when it comes to spending money and putting new spending bills out there. Has Build Back Better gone away for good, or is it going to rear its ugly head again?
Well, in spite of what you may have heard from the other side of the aisle, it appears unlikely that Build Back Better, what I call the bad legislation, will pass in its current form, Brian. I voted against it in the House because I firmly believe that spending trillions now on the majority's partisan priorities and pet projects will be on the backs of our children and future generations, and I just can't. I can't do that to our kids. And I think the opposition from Senator Joe Manchin shows that both Republicans and Democrats, they both share my concerns with this massive spending bill.
Congresswoman Julia Letlow is our guest. We're talking about a few of the things she's been working on up in Washington, D.C. So if Build Back Better falls off the table, something's going to replace it. Have there been any inklings as to what's next?
I believe that now is the time to move past it. As I said earlier, and focus on passing a reasonable, Brian, federal budget that addresses our needs and begins to take the steps necessary to cut our national debt. And this administration has been in office for over a year now, and the government is still running off of the last budget passed by the Trump administration. And in my opinion, that's no way to govern.
No, it isn't. And it's your continuing resolutions. I mean, they can keep things afloat, but a budget really gets your feet underneath you in order to plan. And if you're not planning, then you're reacting. And if you're reacting, you're losing. I do want to cover a little bit about what else you've got going on in Washington, D.C., but I would be remiss if I didn't step aside for just a second to talk about what's going on outside of Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. later on this month. The March for Life is coming up. Do you have any involvement in that, and what has been your involvement with that?
I do. It's one of my greatest passions. I am 100% pro-life. I'm honored to be joining so many people from across the country later this month at the March for Life here in D.C., and we're really at a historic time, Brian, in the pro-life movement as the Supreme Court finally has a case before them that will give us the opportunity to say that our country fully stands for life. And I really, really look forward to talking about my perspective on life at the march, which is shaped by the fact that I'm not just a member of Congress, but as you know, a mother too. And I've always considered myself to be pro-life, but man, I truly understood what that meant after I had 2 babies of my own and held them in my arms for the first time, as any parent can relate to. So I'm ecstatic to be asked to speak, and stay tuned.
The March for Life, in recent years especially, has drawn the attention of outside of the pro-life movement. It's a march, it's not a protest, but it has drawn a lot of counter-protesters. Are we going to see a stemming of that tide when it comes to those who converge on Washington, D.C. at this time?
I don't know, Brian. This is my first one, so we'll see. I hope not, but it is absolutely their right to do so. Yeah, it is. It's sad because it detracts away from what they were there to do. And was it 2 years ago, I believe? Maybe it was 3. You had that kid from Kentucky with the Native American just shouting in his face, and everybody, like, all the headlines were about his, stupid little privileged smirk, but like he wasn't doing anything. He was just there. Right. Right. Yeah. Just like you said, it takes away from the purpose of what we're there to do.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. It does. What else you got on tap right now?
Oh, man, I am excited about so much. I was able to drop my first bill. I'm really excited about that. It's the COVID-19 American Project Act. I believe we may have talked about it before, but it's just a way for us to collect the stories from our healthcare heroes who have been on the front lines during this entire pandemic, as well as the people that have suffered and the survivors. So I'm excited about that. It's really close to coming to the floor for a vote, Brian. So, it's my hope. It's received bipartisan support. I hope I can put it in a frame and put it in my office as my very first bill. And hey, I know Luke would be proud. So
no, absolutely he would. And if you follow it up with the Parents' Bill of Rights, then you're starting a trend. She is Congresswoman Julia Letlow. We are straight up out of time. Congresswoman, thank you so much for hopping on board. We're going to talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure. Thanks,
yes,
Brian.
Absolutely. Thank you. Pleasure's all on this end. We've got to check news here in just a second. After news, we will check in, traffic, weather, the whole works, right? We are very quickly closing in on the Louisiana Marathon. It comes up this weekend. Now, there's a race standpoint to this. There's a Finish Fest standpoint to this. It's going to be a cold Finish Fest. But there's a whole expo and extravaganza standpoint to this. On top of all that, though, there's a tourism aspect. That brings us to Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. He's going to join us next right here on Talk 107.3 FM. First, we got to check in with CBS News. Then we'll hit our local news right after that. Stick around. Oh, man. Hey, last segment of the show, we should call Franz live on air. It's his birthday. Yeah. Nina says maybe get a doctor in to fully explain the difference between shell shock and PTSD. Don't get lost in the bit, Nina. I was quoting a stand-up comedian, not actual a medical practitioner. It was the purpose of that was to talk about how we can dilute the severity of a real problem with flowery language. Flowery, not flowerly. Galen said, look at this link, startling, and then says for 2019, Louisiana is its usual ranking, second worst in the nation. But I still don't see the link. Perhaps YouTube's is stopping you. Maybe. Oh, I'm tired, man. So every so often I'll have a night where I can't turn my brain off at all. And I don't want to drink or anything. Like, it's like if I were to pour myself a drink, I'd go right to sleep. But that can't be healthy. So every so often, well, yeah. So every so often I've got to have that night where it's just like I'm melded to my bed. Like, I love my mattress so much.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm completely comfortable, physically completely relaxed, but the mind keeps on spinning.
Mm-hmm.
Can't stop it.
Tossing and turning?
No tossing, no turning. Just laying there, staring at the damn ceiling.
That sounds awful.
Yeah.
Been there. I'm sure everyone listening has as well. Not fun.
Nope. I'm behind on, I need Matherns. I need Baton Rouge mattress too, huh?
Mm-hmm.
BRPT perhaps? Perhaps.
Hope. 52.
Oh, Hope Ministries.
Last hour. They have Matherns at 7:14.
All right, I'm
Collision at
a bang out Matherns and Hope Ministries right here.
All right, here we go.
Lieutenant Governor Nungesser in 3 minutes. (8:37) Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Going to connect with Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser here in just a little bit. Hey, there's an event coming up real soon, Rise LA, that you're not going to want to miss out on. Louisiana's in a workforce crisis right now. Our companies experience a revolving door of lower to middle income employees. Louisiana's businesses are barely keeping their heads above water, but for those employees, they're drowning, figuratively. There's a better way to handle this, and Louisiana's workforce crisis is going to be addressed. Join us for Rise LA and learn how Fred Keller, he's the founder and chair of Cascade Engineering, learn how Fred changed the way his company handled business, getting hundreds of employees off of welfare while raising profits at the same time. Yes, this can be the rising tide that lifts all boats. Rise LA will do that. Getting hundreds of employees off of welfare while raising profits. Look, we can rise to the challenge. Learn more at risela.biz. Risela.biz. Rise LA. We can all rise together. Taking a look at your forecast real quick before we get the Lieutenant Governor on. We are looking at temperatures going to get up into the upper 60s today is what's the projected high. 69 actually is the projected high. Overnight low tonight getting back down to 40 degrees, topping out at 71 tomorrow, down to 50 on Friday night into Saturday morning. Saturday high of 66, overnight low of 38. We're going to see that resetting of the cold temperature again, but it's going to have rain out in front of it. We've got a 65% chance of rain throughout the day Saturday. When I'm looking at the hour-by-hour forecast, that breaks down to roughly 8 a.m. through about 4 p.m. It's just going to rain all day long. If you were taking part in the 5K, the 10K, or the kids' mile, might be a little bit wet. Now, 65% chance of rain means it might not be wet where they're running, but nonetheless, be ready for it, be out in front for it. If you're participating in the marathon and you're taking off 7 o'clock Sunday morning to run through the streets of Baton Rouge, it's going to be a cold one. If you live along the route, and we're planning on doing a little tailgating to cheer the runners on, which I highly encourage. I mean, there's people coming in from all over the place. Let's show them a little southern hospitality. Just know it's going to be cold outside. Now, I can tell you firsthand, having cheered runners on along the route itself before, resist the urge to light a fire in your yard. Seriously, no. This is such a stupid story. We did this one time. It was freezing cold. We were at a friend's house on Chevelle, and he's like, hey, I got the little fire pit out back. Why don't I bring it up front? Okay, fine. Let's do that. I'm not going to call the guy out. He doesn't even live in town anymore. But they bring the fire pit out front, throw a couple of logs on there, light up the fire. It was nothing but smoke, and the smoke could only waft back across the street. I felt so bad for all these runners. It was like, what are we doing here? They're running 26.2 miles, and they got to go through this smoke screen? Like, at this stage of the race, like, their mind is set. They've got their thoughts are on nothing but the He was so embarrassed. I felt bad for the homeowner. I felt bad for my buddy. He had us all over. It was freezing cold. He was trying to do right as a homeowner. He's like, I got an idea. And we're all like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's light a fire, get some firewood. No, it didn't play out. Well, that was a really long way of telling you that the overnight low Saturday night into Sunday morning is going to be 38 degrees. Right now we're at 46 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Expecting Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser on the hotline any moment now. Checking my email to make sure I didn't miss a cancellation. And no, I did not. All right, no biggie. While we wait, I do need to remind you about the folks over at Mathern. So I was producing LSU basketball last night, which meant I was in the admin building over there on campus, which meant I was right across the street from Mathern's Market, which meant my dinner came from Mathern's. Went over there. Look, I know it's not on a diet, but they make this Italian sandwich. A little ham, a little salami, a little pepperoni, a little banana peppers on it, a little cheese on top of that. It's not on my diet, but I kind of had to. Just one of the many great items you can get from the deli counter over there at Mathern's Market. And I grabbed some fresh veggies. Well, not some fresh veggies, some steamed broccoli as well, and then one of the little containers up front. So I went veggie for sure, along with, but had to dive in on a little Italian sandwich. One of the many items you can get over there. And if you're there during lunchtime, they've got the full salad bar out there for a healthier option. They got a wing bar too, though, if you want to check that out. And they're a full-service grocery store. And right now, it is Mardi Gras time, which means king cakes the moment you walk through the front door. Both locations, downtown on 3rd Street or Nicholson at Skip Burtman Drive, right across the street from Tiger Stadium. King Cake headquarters over there at Mathern's Market. All right, it is Marathon Weekend. Joining us now to talk about that is Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. Lieutenant Governor Nungesser, welcome back to the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year to you, sir. It is. I was just breaking down the forecast. It's going to be a cold one for the marathon, but no matter how cold we think it is, the folks that are coming in from other parts of the country, 38 degrees to start the race might actually be considered warm.
Absolutely. It amazes me that it doesn't seem to. I think they'd rather it cold than real hot.
Yeah.
And in Louisiana, you can flip a coin; it could be either.
We're about a decade into the marathon now. It is really taken a foothold as far as being a destination run at this point. What kind of numbers do we see hotel-wise, flight-wise? What do we see in Baton Rouge as a result of it?
Well, we know it's about a $3 million impact, and those numbers come from Visit Baton Rouge in them formulating, like you said, the hotels, the people eating and spending money here in Baton Rouge. We have been a major sponsor for this is our 5th year, and not only being a sponsor, but also to get the word out. So we get people, runners from all over the state, some that don't run, but some come and visit to support those running. So it has a ripple effect through the community. They come from 44 states, 7 foreign countries, an incredible impact. And I tell you, we provide always Louisiana seafood. We love to leave people with a good taste in their mouth when they leave Louisiana, and what better way to do it than with some great Louisiana seafood. So the investment we make both from tourism and from the Seafood Promotion Board, we feel it not only is the effect of that event that day, but when they leave here with a good taste in their mouth and usually a friend for life. So that ripple effect for tourism where people keep coming back. This is just another event where we see the rewards time and time again from people recommending Louisiana and Baton Rouge to their friends and family.
I'd be curious to see if there's any actual numbers on it. I've heard some stories anecdotally, but if you're coming to Louisiana for the marathon, you might come in for the weekend. But while you're here, like you said, literally and figuratively leaving with a good taste in your mouth, booking a return trip, is that trackable? Do we know that that's turning into a thing yet? Because I would have to imagine that's the long-term goal here.
Right. What we try to do is through our convention and visit bureaus around the state, they calculate and bring in some of that data. It is difficult to track, but we know just from emails, texts, bookings, people going to LouisianaTravel.com, making comments, hey, we were there for the race, we're coming back for Mardi Gras. So we were able to get our hands around some of it. Mm-hmm. But I tell you this, everywhere I go and talk to people, they come here for the people. We treat strangers like their family, and I say that all the time, but it's so true. So the best thing we can do is get people here and let them meet the people and have a good time, whether it's Mardi Gras, this race, a fair, a festival, and the ripple effect is incredible for Louisiana.
Louisiana Marathon took off like wildfire from the start. Obviously, it's an outdoor event, which everything's safer outdoors during COVID, so we're not seeing any tapering off this year as far as participation is concerned. But what about the surrounding, like the surrounding trips and everything? I imagine the Lieutenant Governor's office or the Office of Tourism is going to be out in full force this weekend, letting those who are in town know about everything else going on.
Absolutely, and also the LouisianaMarathon.com. You can go to that site and learn all about all the other activities in the area, or LouisianaTravel.com. But absolutely, as we kick off Mardi Gras season and people are coming in before, we want to make sure they know what's coming up in the weeks and months ahead, and encourage them to come back. So you realize we got 6,500 runners will be here. Mm-hmm. 66% of them are from out of town. So that's a great opportunity to open our doors and put our best foot forward, and we're excited about the weekend.
With the weekend coming up, I've got to ask, your level of participation in this. I don't see Lieutenant Governor Nungesser as a marathon guy. No offense.
No. He has trouble running out and getting the garbage cans in the evening.
If there's a lead golf cart.
I used to, some years I'd be there to shoot the gun and welcome them. I'm going to try to get out there in the morning. I've got 11 events on Saturday that I'm trying to make it around to. As we open our doors back up, everybody wants their event to be special, and we want every event to be special. And that's why, thanks to the legislators and the governor giving us a large budget for tourism, we're sponsoring, supporting, pushing out on social media every event in every corner of the state, because we need every event like this race to be successful and really knock it out of the water to really have a first-class event. So we're trying to get around the state and promoting every event. There's a press conference for the Zulu Parade Saturday. There's events all over the state. And we want to promote each and every one of them because they all have a draw. Just like this is a unique of drawing runners and people interested in running, every event has a certain amount of people and clientele they draw. And we target those people through social media and have really had great success since COVID in bringing people back to Louisiana.
You mentioned Zulu, you mentioned COVID. We got about a minute left. I've got to ask, is it still all systems go for Mardi Gras, or has Omicron made it kind of touch and go at this point?
Well, I'm saying all systems go. We're doing things. We're asking people to wear the mask, keep the distance. When it's appropriate, wash your hands. I believe we can get through this Mardi Gras season safely and have a great Mardi Gras. The parades are outdoors. I just can't imagine ever scaling back like we were. I don't think the economy in the city, state, or the country can handle that. So, it seems like this virus is less deadly and people are not getting as sick. So it's something I hope and believe we can work through and still keep our doors open to the world.
Well, we will get you back on when we get closer to Mardi Gras Day itself. In the meanwhile, 11 events this weekend. Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, that is a full plate. We'll talk to you soon, sir. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, my friend. Take care.
You do the same. We are late for your money now. I want you to turn the phone pot on. Cool. Oh, today? Drab gray? I mean, we can go all Pret a Porter on this, There's a reference to a movie nobody saw. What was the name of the song from that movie that was like number one? Here come the hot stepper. That was the one. I'm the lyrical gangster. Jesus, that movie was terrible. I hate that I worked at Blockbuster. Oh, it is. Oh, so Chuck worked there too. Not the same one as me, but same time. We never crossed paths. Michael Hatfield, who comes in for trivia, he worked at Blockbuster as well. Oh, we have a little coven, if you will, of those that took part in the Blockbuster experience. It's my experience that everyone in Baton Rouge has either worked for Blockbuster or Enterprise, Rent-A-Car. Between those two, we have so many management training manuals at home. My wife was Enterprise, I was Blockbuster. So it was like West Side Story. Yes. Which location? Oh, wait, you weren't here. Yeah.
I know. I blend in well. But
Yeah. So my regular customers at two of my I gotta tell these stories at some point. I should do my own cool story, bro. My Dale Brown story I love, and I don't know if I've said it on YouTube or not, but it's one of my favorites. But that was Perkins and Essen, Sherwood and Old Hammond, which is now Ideal Market. That used to be the Blockbuster. Yeah. Well, the Ideal Market's facing Sherwood. Blockbuster was facing Old Hammond, and they've revamped the whole thing. Anyway, Percy Sledge was a regular, and so was Rudy Ray Moore. Really? I love that there's more Percy Sledge stories than there are Percy Sledge hits. Oh. So, do you know who Rudy Ray Moore is? I love asking people this question because nobody does. Hey! In a brown sweater. Oh, I think. Oh, wait, no, they were doing Dale Brown Court. Hunt Palmer was on with me. He says, "What are the odds he wears a brown sweater tonight?" I'm like, "It's Gary. It's like the odds of rain in Tiger Stadium, or no rain in Tiger Stadium." And he didn't wear a brown sweater. Dolomite. Oh, okay. Yes. Did you know Dolomite's from Baton Rouge? So Rudy Ray Moore was in Blockbuster checking out 4 of his own movies. It's a flex. So he had 3 girls with him, not girls like little girls, but like 3 women with him. And I look at the Blockbuster card, I look at the movie, and I'm like, sir? He looks at me, and I gotta edit one part of this. It's like, and he just looks at me dead in the eye and goes, I gotta let these bitches know who they. That happened? Oh, that is such a flex. Let's go to the Blockbuster, see what we can get. Oh, look, it's me. That's a shame. I don't care how old or young you are. That's a shame. Really? I saw Percy Sledge in concert. Yeah, you would. It was later raped and brutalized by Michael Bolton. Yeah, that's an actual sentence that was actually said to a person he didn't know in public. I gotta let these bitches know who they. Spring of '96. Rudy Ray Moore? No, you're looking at Percy Sledge. I'm talking about Rudy. I'm talking about Dolomite. Petey Wheatstraw, the devil's son-in-law. You got the phone turned on and up? Yeah, phones are up. Savings with the purchase of 4 Bridgestone or Firestone tires. Visit ShopBillsTire.com to learn more. $8:56, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. One segment to go here on Mornings with Brian Haldane. Thanks again to Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome. Thanks again to Patrick Grimion. Thanks again to the folks from Eye Care. Oh, nuts. Hang on. Text. Thanks again to the folks from Eye Care, Congresswoman Julia Letlow and Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser for hopping on board today. Was going to do a little bit here. Was going to call somebody live on the air, but I just got a text back that they're in federal court. I don't think that would be a good move. That would not be a good flex on my part. To call somebody, hey, Franz, happy birthday. Out of order. Like, no, we're not doing that. All right. Anyway, happy birthday, Franz Borghardt. Joins us every Wednesday for Legally Served. So today is his birthday. Was going to give him a little shout out, but I don't want to be found in contempt, as it were. Before we get out of here, 2 more stories to cover real quick. First of all, they're both coming out of the Metro Council last night. First of all, Darrell Hurst was appointed Metro Council District 5 interim council person, taking Erica Green's place. Erica Green moving on to family court judge. Darrell Hurst moving into the District 5 role. His quote from last night: my plan for District 5 is number 1, economic growth. Number 2, economic growth. And number 3, ice cream sundaes. No, number 3 was also economic growth as well. Looking forward to getting him on the show in the very near future. He will be on the ballot in the March 26th special election to see who fills out the remainder of the term. So he's just holding it down for about 2.5 months while he runs for the post. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out because, as I understand it, the vote within the Metro Council last night, the vote of the overall council was not exactly reflective of the wants of the district, as it's been told to me. Do not quote me on that. But though Hurst might have the post for 2.5 months, it doesn't necessarily mean he's got a head start in the race that's coming up in 2.5 months. One other one coming from the Metro Council last night. I really appreciate them getting down to business, getting down to the real nitty-gritty, getting down to solving the problems that you and I, as Baton Rougeans, what do you do? Am I off by a minute? Okay. Getting down to the problems that you and I, as Baton Rougeans, have to face on a day-to-day basis. Headline: drive-thrus in Baton Rouge now required to serve pedestrians, cyclists, and people in wheelchairs. Are we going to have to stop calling them drive-thrus? East Baton Rouge businesses that operate a drive-thru window are now required to allow pedestrians, cyclists, and people in wheelchairs to use the drive-thru if the customer entrances are closed, following a Wednesday vote by the Metro Council. You know, the number of domestic violence homicides went up from 19 to 35 last year. You know, the murder rate was through the roof. Opioid deaths are through the roof. We've got drainage problems, litter problems, and the like. But you know what? If you're in a wheelchair, you can get your drive-thru, dang it. I'm going to have to get a council person on to talk about this, but we're just straight up out of time for today. Fox News Rundown's coming up next. We'll see you tomorrow. Different. Oh, YouTube. Do not miss tomorrow. Well, no Haggai Davis tomorrow. He's going to COVID out for tomorrow. But we do have comedian Dusty Slay on board. If you don't know who that is, look him up on YouTube. He's got a new tour coming up. I don't think the tour is coming to Baton Rouge, but if I get 15 minutes to talk to Dusty Slay, I'm taking it. We're having a good time. Anyway, going to have a full list of guests to go along with that, and we will see you tomorrow. Oh, audio from the governor's press conference, which is coming up later today. Bye.